There we go. Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. And welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. outdoors. I'm your host, Moxie. And it's like a bazillion degrees in Seattle. And on Monday, it's going to be like 10 billion degrees. Bazillion degrees. So I'm going to smoke a joint and not think about it. Because every time I think about it, I start to melt. Let's see. This is Little Blazers. Soul. The strain is called Soul Assassin. Little Blazer Soul Assassin. I thought that's what I do. So I'm going to light this joint. It is Dabs for Donations Friday. So if anyone would like me to do a dab in their honor, all you have to do is make a donation. Whatever. I got a bunch of videos for you. Oh, and if we get to $50 in donations, we have a lovely, isn't that pretty, Subway gift card to give to the 5th caller. As long as it's not Steve McClanahan. But we have to reach our goal of $50 in donations. And then we will give away the lovely Subway gift card. And you will also get a Mox News business card, right? Knowledge is free. You gotta love that, right? I love that. And a Mox News sticker or two. And you may even get a My Cock for President postcard, because my cock is what America is all about. That's if we reach our $50 goal. I got goo all over me. I hate having sticky fingers. Sticky fingers make me crazy. 9 billion bazillion degrees make me crazy. Little Blazers, Soul Assassin. Alright, so where were we? I have videos for you. George Floyd videos. I have Afghanistan videos. I have, what else do I have? A knife attack in Europe. Where'd my book go? I have so many videos. And I also have Jonathan Turley, who's a well-known attorney, talking about what George Floyd can expect in prison, which I found which put a smile on my face. He's not going to have a good time, according to Jonathan Turley. I'm almost ready for a dab. It's so hot out here. But it's twice as hot indoors. In the studio, it's fucking like, can't be in there. And by the way, on Monday, it's going to be 110 degrees in Seattle. This is temperatures no one's ever heard of before. And nobody's prepared. Nobody's got air conditioning. I played a video for you like last night or the night before. Damn sticky hands! About, that said less than 5% of homes in the Seattle area have air conditioning. In 110 degree heat, when people aren't used to it being 75 or 80 degrees, some people are gonna die. And trust me when I say this is not serious. Okay, when I say some people are gonna die, some people are gonna die. My grandmother died of heat exposure or heat stroke waiting for a bus. Very sad. So you want to take this shit very seriously. If you have the high temps where you are, which apparently everybody has the high temps everywhere right now, you want to be very careful. Because the last thing you want to do is die at a bus stop. Nobody wants to die at a bus stop. Guaranteed. Guarantee 100%. That is nobody's fantasy. I don't know why I can't keep this thing lit. Probably I talk too much. Oh, by the way, this is a call-in show. If anybody wants to call, I believe I have a telephone outside. I got a telephone and everything. You people can hear the voice coming out of my mouth, right? I'm almost feeling much better now. How about you? No one's typing, no one's calling. How am I supposed to do this without you people's input? This is all about your voices, people. I could go and talk to the world. I'm here to talk with you. I'm not here to do this monologue about what you're supposed to think. Here to just have a discussion about what you do think. Do you think, what do you think about this statement by George Floyd's brother that not just Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter? What do you think of that? Just wondering. Or not. 110 degrees. I don't know if we're going to make it or not. But I can tell you, we're probably not going to be doing a show on Monday. Since the studio is twice as hot as the outdoors. And it's going to be 110 degrees outdoors. So, I'm not doing it in 220 degree temperatures in the studio. So you can count on the fact that there will not be a show on Monday. It's going to be 108 on Sunday. Oh, can you see the rainforest back there? Can't see the Space Needle today. I'm not sure why. But back there is the rainforest. And I'm going to have to go give it some rain. Because they are drinking up water like crazy. I'm almost feeling better. We went to the grocery store before we came on the air, right? And there's this absolutely fucking devastating looking woman walking through the grocery store, and the only thing she has is she has a 4-pack of a beverage, and on the pack, on the side of the carrier, it says what did it say? It said kinky. And I wanted to tell her they should that drink manufacturer should pay you to carry that around the store, because I don't drink alcohol and I want to go buy some right now. Because that's the truth. Kinky. I don't even know what it is. I mean, I know what kinky is, but I don't know what the drink is. It must be like a wine cooler or something like that. There's the Pikachu. We can't see the Boo Bear either. I'm not sure where the Boo Bear's at. Oh, he went inside. Too hot. Trying to find a place where it's not so hot. Alright, so I'm just going to sit here and smoke weed until someone calls. I don't know. I think that I was very glad to see Derek Chauvin get 22 and a half years in prison. I was very glad. This is the kind of message that needs to be sent to cops, okay? You can't just murder someone, which is what Derek Chauvin did. I can't believe he's up on second-degree murder charges. It should be first-degree. I mean, he knew that he was killing someone. People were shouting, "You're killing him." He was saying, "You're killing me." He knew he was killing him. And according to the testimony I saw today, or not the testimony, but the statements that I saw, the statements that I saw said, what did they say? I kind of lost my train of thought there. My dab started to fly away. I was like, no. So Boo Bear's right here. Yeah, I think that I was glad to see that happen. Primarily, not so much because of George Floyd, not so much because of Derek Chauvin, but because it's a message that's being sent to cops. You know, that you don't have immunity from murdering someone anymore. So you better get your shit together, because it's bullshit where you fucking kill people in the street with everybody watching ain't gonna fly no more. Cause we got you on video, and the video speaks for itself, doesn't it? Although apparently the video of Tamar Rice being murdered by two cops 1 second after they got out of their car, or 1 second after they arrived on the scene, Tamar Rice being a 12-year-old playing in the park like 12-year-olds love to do, murdered by the police. And apparently the video there was blurry, so they couldn't press charges on the cops. It's a 12-year-old playing in the park, murdered less than 2 seconds after the cop car arrived on the scene. Okay? Oh, the video's unclear. Fuck you. Okay, so I don't know if Derek Chauvin is kind of like the scapegoat, you know, for all these fucking people, these fucking killer cops who think they can get away with anything. Maybe Derek Chauvin is like the scapegoat. Oh, look, we pressed charges on him. It was bad. But I hope not. I hope this is like a serious message being sent to cops, you know, that it's not like the good old days anymore. Everybody's got cameras, and we're going to believe our lying eyes over you fucking cunts, you killer cunt cops. Every time, hopefully. I was really glad to see the judge go along with, you know, increasing the sentence, because so many times the judges are just like, they kept talking about, before the judge sentenced them, they kept talking about getting 6 months and you know, suspended sentence, you know, and 2 years probation, right? Like, that better not happen, or fucking Minneapolis is gonna burn. So I'm really glad that that's not what happened, so to speak. Let's see, where is this phone at? Hello, caller.
Hey, Mox, how's it going?
Okay, how about you?
I'm not going to be as hot as you for a change. That's really rare, because usually you guys are pretty temperate.
Yeah.
And
they say it's gonna break all the records. So.
Yeah, we get the wild swings over here. You know, sometimes I have to go through 25 degrees below zero in January. Next thing you know, it's 95 in July. And yeah, it's pretty rare for us too to get 100 degrees.
We keep having Januaries and Februaries that are like 80 degrees, 75, 80 degrees here. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice, though. I mean,
it's nice.
Anyway, my opinion on the, I did watch the sentencing hearing today.
Uh-huh.
And the statement by George Floyd's brother. And, you know, I think it did speak to, like, cops in general. Like, I think it spoke, there's something that happened that was bigger than, you know, a racial thing. There was a thing that happened where the whole world, right, bit onto this concept that, hey, the police are being too fucking violent. The police are leaning on us like we're some kind of, you know, trough that they can feed on. And it's like, this is, the police are being too brutal. The state cometh too hard, you know. I think that's what's going to end up being what reverberates out of this whole thing. It's like, look, we're not going to be a police state. we really don't want to be that. Nobody wants to be that.
Well,
So,
we are a police state, but
well,
hopefully
we
we're
are
not
right
going
now,
to
but
be.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't. Nobody wants to be though. Like the only people who want to be is the those who are fearfully hiring protection and those who want to do shit that they're not supposed to do. So, no, we're not going to put up with it.
Yeah. The people who want the police state, I like to refer to them as cop suckers. And,
Yeah.
And
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, this is the land of the free. How can you possibly want, people getting busted for marijuana, let alone 1,000 other things, I mean,
Yeah.
the censorship is out of control. The cops are clearly out of control for some time now. For a long time. I mean, like forever, the cops have been out of control. And the only reason it's coming to light now is everybody carries cameras everywhere.
Well, that's what we needed, That's what we needed. And it's the medicine. That is the medicine for the fungus, or not the fungus, because fungus is good, actually. It's the medicine for the infection that the police state is the cameras. I really believe that. I think the cameras are gonna. Oh my God, there's so many cops that are being arrested and quitting. Some of them, the ones that are quitting, by the way, there's a lot of guys slinking away into the night.
Right.
Because they committed shit upon shit upon shit, and they're 3 years away from retirement, and they say, hey, do you got an early retirement program? Oh, yeah, it just so happens we do. I'll take it.
Right.
Boom.
I agree.
And they get out, and there is a lot of rats fleeing the ship. And I think a lot of anybody that's going to, because see, this is the other thing. We can't, and this is just my thing. I've been scraped off the road a few times by emergency people, so it's like I really appreciate them when I really need them,
Yeah.
And that's really fucking nice, I have to say. So I guess, I don't know. I think, yeah, you need police when you need them. You don't need them to be when you don't need them, and they need to be cool with that. And I think
It's not that. Look, I want the cops to be the heroes that they want us to think that they are. And it's not a matter of we need them when we need them. It's a matter of they need to understand that they are there to help us, not to see how they can fuck with us, not to see what, what they can, criminal charges they can trump us up against us. They are there to be a public servant and say, hey, are you okay? Do you need some help? That's entirely their job, and they don't do the other parts of the job, right? People are getting fucked on this. People are getting fucked. People are stealing catalytic converters. A million different ways. They're not doing that. They're going, oh, that guy's smoking marijuana. I mean, it's just insane.
It's stupid.
Yeah. So, and that's why we got to end the drug war so they can focus on what's really important. Like, they're not stopping robberies and all this shit that is, everybody has cameras on their houses, on their businesses. It shouldn't be that complicated to actually solve a lot of these issues. And it doesn't seem like they're even trying.
That's right. And yeah, there's a lot of deeper stuff that goes on in police departments too that is gonna slip through our fingers, mainly because we just don't have we don't have efficient control mechanisms in the civilian the society to deal with these issues. So these police are going to slip through our fingers and go into retirement, but we're going to get a change, because they are on notice, and I think it's huge, and it is happening. I see it. I see so many police getting arrested, and I got to believe that anybody who's actually applying to be a policeman right now, probably has some of this stuff in mind. I would hope, at least.
I would be quite sure of it, that the people that are applying now to be police officers are like people who want to be public servants, people who are on the up and up, people who are not worried about someone filming them. you know?
Yeah.
Because they are doing
Yeah.
good. They're there to help. And
Yeah.
that's the reason. Although I think a lot of police officers join with that attitude, and then they find out that all the people they're working with are completely corrupt, and it's just impossible to keep that attitude and be part of what's happening. So there you go.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
That's
do?
the toughest part, isn't it? When you get good guys that join, but they're swallowed up by the mud
Yeah.
that is existing in the departments, and that's actually the struggle, in my opinion. That's actually the struggle.
It's
Get
a
the
huge
mud
part of it,
out.
and this is a big part of
Yeah.
why it's good that people are quitting. You know why? I mean, it's not good that they're getting away with all the crimes that they have committed, but it's good that they're
Right.
quitting, so that we can get, and that there is this tension with the police right now, because that way the people, like I
Yeah.
said, the people that are going in to be cops now are probably are probably really good people who want to help sort all the
Yeah.
shit out. You know.
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, I've definitely seen good sheriffs, like guys who are like understanding, want to hear your story. They're not going to do stupid stuff. They're not there to arrest you. They're here to mitigate any issue that might lead to somebody else's danger. I mean, that's really the job, and I think it's a specialty skill. It's something that I've seen certain people have, just like any other profession. And if they have it, they're great. If they don't, they suck. And if you get a whole bunch of sucky ones, boy, like what we've had, this is a nightmare. They
Yeah.
start feeding on us.
Yeah.
Like they predate on us. Like
Yeah.
we're the cash.
Yeah.
We're a paycheck. We're not we're not what they're protecting. We are their paycheck. And the more felonies they can accrue, and the more shit they can come up with, it feeds their careers, and that's not what we want to do.
Well, I
That
think
is
this is.
not what we.
I think this is a big part of the crime wave too. Is that the more crime there is, the more budget there is for the police, right? They're like, oh, look at all this crime, we have to solve
Yeah.
it. We need to spend a lot more on policing. You know?
Yeah.
Why don't you do
Yeah.
your fucking job in the first place, and then maybe we'll get something done around here, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy. Here, it's really calmed down. I have to say, ever since George Floyd, in New York State,
it has a lot to do with the legalization of cannabis too, you know.
that too.
Yeah.
But yes, that too. However, I will also say that I have an occasion to drive around with unregistered trailers and different things. We spend a lot of time moving things from one place to another. It's definitely noticeable that the police are being, they've been humbled in a sense.
They need to be. Really, they need to be.
Yeah, they definitely need to be. And the courts are waking up, even though during COVID, the biggest thing that disturbed me was there was not public participation in our courts during COVID. And it's like, okay, we have computers, so it could have. That's one of those little obstructions that could have definitely easily been overcome by just saying, okay, here's the feed to this court, so the public can participate in the, or can view the court. We have to be able to be observers in the court. So the court says, well, you have to have a special permit to get, on the live feed of this trial, these kinds of things. So there were a lot of trials in the past year also that flew under the radar, were not observed by the public properly at all. So, yeah, there's a lot of fallout from 2020 for sure.
Well, at least it seems like this is a good day, and I hope all the cops hurt from this,
Yeah, I think he's got more charges coming.
Yeah, it looks like it. Hey, I gotta take a break. It's Dave, right?
All right. Yeah.
Okay, Dave, it's good to hear from you, man.
Okay,
I hope you're doing good where you are.
Yeah, don't get too hot, dude.
Nah, I'm not. I'm gonna do my best. I do not function. Look at it gets to be 85 degrees. It's way too hot for me. At 90 degrees, I become almost completely unfunctional. So, I'm not gonna do.
Water.
Yeah, I drink 2 gallons of water a day every single day.
Well, I mean, like, jump in the water.
Well, it's too hot to go out, dude.
Yeah?
So we don't have a pool, so I
Okay.
don't know.
All right.
I'm gonna keep putting the hose on Rufus. So, all
All
right,
right.
it's good to hear from you, bro.
Okay, bye-bye.
See ya. All right, so I'm gonna play a quick video for you about Derek Chauvin. I'll be right back. Hold on. This is an interesting monologue from a very conservative commentator who I've never seen before.
We start with our preamble. Justice or vengeance, equity or equality, vindication or validation. From the sentencing of Derek Chauvin to the battle over critical race theory, it is clear that when it comes to the issue of race, America is at a consequential crossroads. Do we truly want justice under the law for every American, or do we seek vengeance in the name of those who did not receive the full benefit of America's promise? Now, this is the internal struggle playing out before our very eyes in cities all across this nation right now. From New York to California, police departments are on high alert, bracing for the reality that no matter the sentence handed down to Derek Chauvin, for some in America, it just won't be enough. In fact, increasingly, those who claim to seek a world not defined by racial animus seem to routinely insist that every single issue in society must be viewed through the prism of skin color. And no matter the pains we take as a nation or as individuals to raise our children with compassion, to deal with our neighbors with respect, well, there is nothing that they will ever deem to be sufficient. The preamble to our nation's Constitution starts with the phrase, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice." That's the first sentence. Because without justice, we have nothing. Without justice, there can be no liberty. Without justice, there can be no country. Vengeance, validation, equity, all of these terms, none of them have anything to do with justice because they call for us to elevate the needs of some over others. And there is nothing more un-American than that. Now, to be clear, America has had some not so shining moments on race. Perhaps more egregious than the institution of slavery was the collective apathy that allowed the views proliferated in the age of human bondage to bleed into our more perfect union. But in our effort to learn the lessons of history, we should not build a world where our mistakes define our future. We should not seek a world where we are no longer informed by our past, but rather held hostage by it. It's very easy to cherry pick quotes by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in search of a vengeful world, to take phrases out of context like riots are the language of the unheard. But in all of my life, I have never seen a picture of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. hurling a brick. And I've read the mission statement for his organization, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, from pillar to post, and the words Molotov cocktail, they are nowhere to be found. You see, understanding righteous anger that is contained within the human spirit is not the same as condoning the violence that it sometimes inspires. And so the question for us is clear. Do we seek a just world or not? Do we seek equality for every American? Or are we building a world where those who feel as if their American dreams have been deferred now choose to visit that pain and suffering on their neighbors? Will we continue to follow the arc of the universe around the bend towards justice, or will we give in to the same lesser angels we are fleeing to affirm vengeance as our new organizing ideology? Time is all that will tell, but the outcome is surely up to us. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. So let's make sure those words ring true for all of us.
I just want to reiterate, not just Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. We need to stand up and fight. Can't get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, people forget about you.
Amen.
So the legend will still live on. George is not here, but the spirit lives here. Breonna Taylor is not here, but the spirit still lives here. Eric Garner is not here, spirit still right here. But the fact that we're here fighting, I want all you all to stand up and fight. Thank you all so much.
She's a bitch, right?
Oh, wrong one.
She's a bitch,
Wrong
right?
one.
She's
Let's
a bitch,
see where we
right?
at here.
She's
Outdoor.
a bitch.
There's my girl. Girl, what you doing, honey pie? Let's see. And you know what I really like about what he said there? George Floyd's brother, Thelonious Floyd. Thelonious Floyd. That's a tough one. I like that he said we got to keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. I love that. That's what I say every night. We have to fight. We have to come together and fight the real evil in the world. The U.S. government. The never-expanding police state. Never-expanding comply or die police state. They're the real threat to everyone around the world. And we all know it. China knows it. Russia knows it. We got to get it together so that we can overthrow our government so that someone else doesn't have to. This is the whole point. Hello, caller.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
Also, I didn't get a donation yet, so I can't do a dab. I'd really like to do a dab. If you give me a donation, I'll do a dab in your honor. Go ahead. Who is this?
Hey, Mike. It's Chris. How are you doing tonight?
Okay, how are you?
I'm great. I'm doing fine. You know, everything's cool.
Everything's fine. That was a
More.
song. Everything's fine. I can't remember what the name of it. It might have been a Alanis Morissette song. I don't think so though.
I found out that my regular computer that I use is dead today. Dead as a doornail. The motherboard is toast.
I hate it when that happens.
I know. So anyway, I've got to go into a whole different mode and just find another computer. Whatever. It takes time, you know, to become attached to a machine you use all the time.
Yeah, Craig's got.
Did you ever see that movie Her?
Craig's got like a dozen computers out in the garage, so. I mean, I use them for a long time, so. But if anything happens, I have another one up and running in a couple hours generally.
Yeah, I definitely have two functional computers that can access the internet and I can do basic typing on, but they both have power issues. But they work if I need an emergency backup. And of course, I've been using the phone mostly as a backup, which is weird because I have never used the phone exclusively as a backup for the computer. So that's been odd and a little off for me. And I'm kind of understanding how about 75% of millennials live their life attached to their phone instead of ever breaking away and looking at a laptop or a desktop computer. You ever think about that?
I have never had a smartphone. I never had a cell phone. I had a cell phone that had a service, but it was not a smartphone, and it was given to me. It wasn't in my name. But I've never. I don't really. I think about the people on the phones, right? I remember my friend Sam. I talk about my friend Sam all the time. I remember 15 years ago, when people were just starting to get smartphones, we would go out to dinner with people, and they'd just be looking at their phones. And he'd lean over to me and he'd say, "If I ever get like that, kill me." And now he's got one of those. He's got one of those, and he looks at it all the time. Not necessarily at dinner, but right after dinner and shit like that,
Yeah, I find that, it's completely different culturally. People our age, I'll put that in quotation marks, Mike, are kind of out of the loop on this. And when I encounter people 15 years younger than me, people who are, 40, 35, 40 years old, and they're on the outer margins of cool culture, they're always on their fucking phone. I mean, you can't just have a conversation with somebody where they'll put their phone down and talk with you for 5 minutes without their eyes gazing into some other conversation. So I think the phone has really facilitated ADHD, or attention deficit hyper deficit disorder, because people can't stay focused and long enough to have a conversation with somebody. Like, I'll talk with you for a few moments, but I'll put this goddamn computer away and we can just talk to each other as human beings. And I think that's becoming a much more rare phenomenon, much rarer, and especially like for younger people. Like for older people, I think we still, I still remember in 1970, 2 or something, or when I was in kindergarten or first grade, and doing like show and tell, where you have to take an object from your house or some idea or something you're thinking about, and you got to take it into class, and then the whole class is quiet, and then you like share what you have to share, and you have to explain it to people, and you look at the funny faces and stuff, and like like a little bit like entertainment, but it's sharing, and it's like nobody is like distracted by staring at their fucking phone. Like when you go to the opera, you don't fucking stare at your phone, dude. You're at the opera, right? But I don't think so anymore, man. I think all of that is just kind of disappearing. People don't give a fuck about their privacy. People don't give a fuck about your your needs. Like, I'm gonna give you my undivided attention, and you do that on this show. Many people, give you my undivided attention without staring at your phone, right? That's becoming much more unusual, dude.
I can't stand the idea. Look, I'm so tired of computers, and it really bothers me. I just don't want them. I just don't want them in my life. I don't want to touch them. I don't want to sit at a fucking desk anymore.
Right.
And I don't see any way to get computers out of my life.
Considering what you're doing, Mike.
No, it's not that. I can walk away from what I do. It's not that. It's that. There's everywhere you go, there's computers. Everywhere you go, there's computers. You have to interact with them. Whether it's an ATM machine or getting checked out at the grocery store. Even if you use cash, you have to interact with a computer. Everywhere you go, it's computers, and there's something. There's something that really bothers me about that, and it's like you can't escape it. Go ahead.
And Mike, I've often talked to you about like the big picture. Like human beings are 300,000 years old. We were in the Ice Age or Neolithic Stone Age, like 30,000 years ago. 12,000 years ago, we developed agriculture, and about 400 years ago, 350, 400 years ago, we developed the industry, modern industry, which is when we started burning coal, to pump out like water for water wells. So we made these machines that we burn coal, and then we pump water out of like wells, so we could like dig more coal or something.
When did
the Industrial Revolution.
When did they come up with?
Huh?
Who came up with warm running water? When did they get that?
I don't know. Well, probably hot water. Steam engine. I would imagine like the way we look at hot water. Where you turn a valve and all of a sudden you have hot water.
Yeah.
I would imagine that it comes from burning wood or burning coal, and it would create steam and heat water. So after 1800, I would bet something along those lines. But
that's like one of my favorite
like
things. That's one of my favorite things is warm running water.
I like showers and hot baths. They're really nice. Water is cool.
Yeah.
It's water is hot, but hot water is cool, if you know what I mean.
Hot water is awesome.
But hot water is awesome. But so all of this is relatively new, and the computer, it's really fucking new, Mike. It's like we're talking like 1965 or 1955 or something to now. It's not that long. It's only like 60 years, and in that time, all of us have been like are completely addicted and attached to the computer, where we don't even know how to just survive without the computer. And that to me is fucking weird. And all this shit is owned by private corporations. I mean, I did listen to your show last night, and one of the callers was talking about the state and the fear of the state, and collective is, oh my God, what if collective takes over? It's like, dude, it already is a collective. It's called oligarchy, right? I mean, it's owned by wealthy, individual, rich motherfuckers, and they own the whole goddamn planet. In China, in Europe, in the United States, in other parts of Asia, they own everything, right? And all that the nation-state system really does, Mike, is keep us separated, right? So, like, I mean, we do speak different languages, and we do have different cultures, and yada yada, right? But basically, the nation-state systems allow rich fuckers to move their money back and forth over international lines to protect their shit, right? So like a rich motherfucker, like from the United States or from Europe, he can set up a factory in China, right? And then he can make money for 25 years and profits off of that factory. And if the government says, well, we want more regulations because you're kind of an asshole, he can just say, fuck you, I'm going to Thailand, and move his factory to Thailand, right? And the government of Thailand will be like, cool, we'll get taxes instead of those people. Hey, thanks for coming here. You know, that isn't a world of collectivism. That's a world of arrogant motherfucking rich oligarchic capitalist elites who run the motherfucking world. And the thing about libertarianism, Mike, is that a lot of these fuckers wish they were Jeff Bezos. They wish they were Bill Gates. So there's a lot of envy going on, right? If you play the capitalist game right, you can be really rich, right? That's a way of like, screw your neighbor. You ever hear that card game, Screw Your Neighbor?
It sounds familiar. I think I played it before.
Yeah, it's like a rummy game, screw your neighbor, you know, but it seems to be kind of, you know, the basis of capitalism. It's like take advantage of other people for your own personal needs. And the government just helps you out. And if you have a problem with this government, there's 150 other governments you can go to around the world with your money and, you know, move your money around. So I think we should just take all of these people's shit away from them and give it to the people. Like, no more Amazon, no more Facebook, no more Walmart, no more fucking Chase Manhattan Bank, no more Wells Fargo, you know, no more Safeway. Fuck all of that. And just say, we own this.
I want to start with all the military-industrial complex and move on to the prison-industrial complex, and then we move on to the for-profit medical-industrial complex.
Yeah,
and then we'll get to fucking Walmart, okay?
Yeah, well, why is the U.S. government paying to make its own guns, right? Why is somebody making a profit making bullets for the U.S. fucking government? Like, you don't think that the U.S. government couldn't figure out how to run a foundry and how to run, you know, some tool and die equipment to pump out bullets and guns? I'm sure they can do it very fucking easily at low cost. So what's the deal with these people making money off of selling bullets and guns to the government? I mean, that is, like, part of what capitalism is about, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Making money. And the other thing about this country being so pure, and the people who moved here, you know, the people who started this country having pure ideals, I don't believe that for a second. You know, George Washington made a fortune and was one of the wealthiest individuals in North America when he was president from land speculation on the Ohio River Valley. So he was a surveyor, and he purchased large tracts of land, you know, across the Ohio River Valley, and made a fortune with westward expansion. Thomas Jefferson, the writer of the Declaration of Independence, signed the Louisiana Purchase in 1804 with France that basically tripled the size of the United States, like in 1 minute, right? All the way to Colorado, the United States owned that land and proceeded to kill the people who lived there, take the shit that was there, and move really like awesome, God-fearing, good people there. So this was never a good project. From the very fucking first day, America was set up to steal and take money. And those fuckers, Jefferson and Washington, however smart they were, and they were smart, Mike, they made fortunes for people. And they exploited people. And they owned slaves. And they didn't give a fuck.
Look, I've never said that these people were good people. They were visionary people who set up a government that should be by the people. Okay, they set up a government that has the ability, supposedly, to have the people commit a revolution against it. I mean, that's what I see as
Yeah.
the way they set up
Well,
the government. And
they had free land. They considered whatever was here was like free land.
yeah,
So they just killed everyone in their path. And they had no fucking problem importing people from 4,000, 5,000 miles away to do all the hard work for them as they were stealing land. I think that was part of their mindset. Like whatever their ideals were, like the ideals of the Bill of Rights or the ideals of the Declaration of Independence or the ideals of the Constitution and our Republican form of government, all of those ideals were used to mask the real reason people were here, which was to like take land, make money, and keep going west. And then once they conquered North America, they went to Hawaii and they went to the Philippines and they took all of the former colonies from Spain and the Caribbean and they took their land, right? They never stopped. They never stopped. To this day, they haven't. Now they're threatening Russia. They want and Iran. They want their stuff.
I agree with the whole concept of they gobble up everything they could. What they did to Hawaii was horrific. What they did to the Native Americans everywhere they went has been horrific, and
including in Canada.
Yeah,
even in Canada,
yeah.
Right? Not just like in the United States, but the British colonists in Canada didn't do a great job either.
No, there's even in the last few decades, Canada has been pretty bad to the Native American, whatever they call them in Canada, indigenous people.
Indigenous people, the people who live there.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Well, that's my rant. But there were two stories I wanted to share. I'll go fast. First of all, two of them are from Stop the Drug War. First of all, they're both from Louisiana. There was a bill signed today by the governor that basically says that people who medical marijuana. So people can smoke medical marijuana in Louisiana now. That has passed. And another thing that the governor signed recently is that no longer is it a felony to possess, cannabis if you have less than 14 grams. It's only a misdemeanor. And the new penalty for possessing 14 grams in Louisiana is a misdemeanor charge and a $100 fine, but no prison time. So that was a drug reform bill that was signed by the governor of Louisiana in the past week. And both of those bills were considered extremely on the edge, right, in like Baton Rouge and in New Orleans. So I'm glad for the people in Louisiana that at least their kids aren't going to be sent to Angola fucking state penitentiary for possessing a quarter ounce of weed, right?
Yeah.
Although they could do much better than that by letting people just have and grow and be able to buy and sell without punishment cannabis in the state of Louisiana. And as I've mentioned so many times on your show, New Orleans is a place like Miami, and therefore it's based on tourism, right? And they could make a lot of money, like Mardi Gras, the sporting events that they have there, just the nature, the flavor of the French Quarter and of New Orleans, its unique historical kind of program, and Louisiana could sell itself and make a fortune if they had legal weed. Right? So I don't understand what their problem is. I did read another story in StopTheDrugWar.org, Mike, about Rhode Island, where Pete is from. Mm-hmm. And apparently there's been pushback on the legalization effort in Rhode Island. I could find the details, but essentially that's what the article said at StopTheDrugWar.com. And oh yeah, there was another story. I read it a couple different places. I read it at the World Socialist website, and I also found it at a normal site like CBS or whatever. And apparently Joe Biden, from his $1.2 trillion CARES Act that was passed earlier this year, he has signed a piece of paper, a bill. I don't even think it's a bill. It could be an executive order that says up to $350 billion. Right? I think that's what it was. I think it was with a B. Maybe it was with an M, but I think it was with a B. Could be reallocated to police departments across the United States to get police departments up to the same numbers they were before pre-pandemic. And then he talks about a lot of the crimes. He quotes a study that was done that there were like more homicides during the COVID lockdown and there were more violent crimes during the COVID lockdown. Of course, they blame it on COVID, right, instead of on the government's lockdown policy that created all of these problems.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, his response, Joe Biden's response, is we'll take all of the extra money that wasn't spent on the COVID relief fund, the CARES Act, and we'll send all of that money, or $350 billion of it, back to police departments across the United States. And that's who Joe Biden is.
That's who he's
right?
always been. Yeah.
Yeah, so these Democrats, and I want to say that specifically, I'm no fan of Republicans either, but specifically these people who are cheerleading for Joe Biden, just be very clear. Like, if you went to a Black Lives Matter protest, Democrat, last year, you went to one of those protests, this president just is said, I'll give $350 billion extra dollars to police departments to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Buy them extra military equipment, take karate lessons, whatever they do, Mike? Like extra money for the cops, which is kind of flies in the face of all of those demonstrations that happened last year.
Yeah.
So he's basically just taking his middle finger and saying, fuck you, to the activist community in the United States that said, hey man, like, stop killing black people, stop harassing poor people, stop murdering people, develop some reforms, treat people with respect. Like, why is the police this authoritarian thug gang? What's up with this? All of these demonstrations and all these people who participated in those demonstrations just got the big fuck you from Joe Biden last week. And nobody said anything either. That's the other thing about this media complicity. CNN, CBS, NBC, the whole gamut of like the liberal media, but it's corporate. It's not liberal, it's corporate media. The corporate media just didn't say anything. They don't care. More money for cops, that's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not liberal media. They just speak towards liberals. They just try and attract that audience, but it's not. There's nobody in the media that's liberal. There's nobody in the media that's genuinely conservative either. So,
I think they speak to the managerial class, Mike. That's how I like to think of it. It's like a lot of people who watch the news on those networks are not from the managerial class. They're not, right? They're working class people. But when they watch the news and they see this managerial speak and people talking real officially back and forth between each other, it adds some legitimacy to what they're saying. And the real managers who are like running, businesses and running the government, the managerial class, like the educated class who runs things for the rich people, those people just suck up those media sources so they can say to the workers, see, it said right there in ABC News, COVID makes you sick.
Right.
Right? Don't you see?
Yeah.
And, hey, man, that's CNN. That's propaganda. No.
Yeah.
The CDC said COVID makes you sick.
Yeah.
And then, and you either believe it or you just are a crank. That's the world I think a lot of your listeners are living in. You as well. Anyway, those are some stories I wanted to share, Mike. It's fucking hot, man. It's going to be like 106 in Olympia on Sunday, and it's probably going to break the record. Like, our hottest day ever here was in 2009, and I was here, and it was in the second or third week of July, and it got up to 104 degrees in Olympia, and that's the hottest ever recorded since 1850, right? And we're probably going to break that record on Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I hear. All right, Chris, well, stay cool, man. It's going to be hot out there. Make sure to hydrate, and I'm sure we'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, Mike, have a good night, and thanks for your time.
All right,
peace.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Okay, I'm going to play a video about how hot it's going to be in the Seattle area, breaking all records here on Monday. Be right back.
Right now on KOMO News, the entire state of Washington is under an excessive heat warning as the Pacific Northwest braces for a historic heat wave. Temperatures are expected to hit the triple digits, and now many are forecasting temperatures could reach as high as 110 degrees here in Seattle on Monday.
I've never seen anything that approached this in Seattle before.
The triple-digit forecast has many people making a last-ditch effort to get fans and AC units, but supplies are flying off the shelves, as you might imagine, leaving many people out of luck. This is what it looked like at a hardware store in Seattle's Maple Leaf neighborhood today. The heat will be locked in for days, giving people very little chance to recover during the overnight hours. Here's Como's Theron Zahn with a look at some ways to beat the heat.
You have never felt anything in Seattle like the heat coming this weekend. The National Weather Service expects all-time high temperature records to be shattered Sunday and Monday. When temperatures hit the triple digits, doctors say staying cool isn't just about comfort, it's about your safety.
You might get nausea, headaches, lightheadedness, muscle cramps.
That's if you don't find a way to stay cool. Lifeguards will be working 8 beaches in Seattle for the first time this summer. Wading pools and spray parks will be turned on as well.
We want to get out the house a little bit of the day while it's hot and then enjoy some of the heat and then get back in the house.
Fisher Pavilion at Seattle Center will be an emergency shelter and 24-hour cooling center this weekend. Also, 13 libraries in Seattle will offer refuge from the heat, along with 3 community centers. Nearly a dozen city departments say they're making preparations as well.
And that was Theron Zahn reporting the dangerous heat coupled with the homeless crisis here in Seattle could turn very deadly, and that's very possible that could happen. But why outreach workers will be making visits to offering rides to cooling centers, that's something we'll be talking about all throughout the weekend. The heat is also dangerous to those who work outdoors and can't escape it. If you have to be outside, stay hydrated by drinking plenty of water. Also, go easy on the caffeine. That can help, since it can help dehydrate you as well. Also, eating lighter meals, that can also help, along with wearing loose-fitting, light-colored clothing and hats. As we mentioned earlier, cooling centers are opening up across Western Washington this week, and the Monroe Community Senior Center will be open today, Sunday, and Monday to help people beat the heat. It's open each day until 7 p.m. Today, Governor Inslee removed all capacity restrictions for cooling centers, and you can find a full list of those cooling centers, beaches, and spray parks across the region right on our website, comonews.com/hotweather. All right, let's get over to meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Shannon, a lot of people asking when we'll start to see some relief from this heat that's already begun.
Yeah, I know. When will it back off? And we're just beginning the heat wave. And I wish I had better news, but it is going to be several days from now, Preston, that we're going to see any relief. We're just starting to see the heat build at this point. As you mentioned, the entire state, a bright shade of pink. I don't know if I've ever seen this. We have an excessive heat warning in place for almost all of the Pacific Northwest, including the entire state of Washington. To get an excessive heat warning on this side of the Cascades is so rare anyway, but to cover the entire landscape, unprecedented, especially for 4 days in a row. It is going into effect this afternoon. It goes through at least Monday, and that's because within that time frame, we're talking about highs in the 90s to the triple digits for days on end. Now, the two worst afternoons going to be a back-to-back pair of 100-degree-plus days, Sunday and Monday. Look at Olympia and Shelton, 108 that day. Even Aberdeen at 104 and Forks at 98. That day, Sunday, we beat the record, or at least we should, in downtown Seattle at 106, and we do it again on Monday. You mentioned that 110 reading, absolutely unlike anything we've ever seen, and I want to show you why really quickly. Look at the daily records. We are going to shatter nearly all of them. But look at the record for the Monday afternoon. 91, the record back in 2015. When you jump 20 degrees above that record, that is unheard of. And so we're talking about the most extreme temperatures, Preston, we've ever seen in this region. We're just getting started, and it continues into the early part of next week.
All right, thanks, Shannon.
I just want to reiterate, not just Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. We need to stand up and fight. Can't get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, people forget about you.
Amen.
So the legend will still live on. George is not here, but his spirit lives here. Breonna Taylor is not here, but the spirit still lives here. Eric Garner is not here, spirit's still right here. But the fact that we're here fighting, I want all you all to stand up and fight. Thank you all so much.
Hi, Jackie Cat. I was just like, where's my kitty? Because I was missing you. You were not here. I was like, where's my kitty? Kitty, 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 kitty. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Dabs for Donations Friday. If you'd like to give a donation, I will be happy to do a dab in your honor. But I'm not about to wait for you because things are very slow, and I might have to wait forever, and I'm not that patient. So this will have to do for the moment. I usually save the joints for when I don't have dabs ready, so I can have a little puff with you. You guys know I love having a little puff with you. And I think some of you like to have a little puff with me too. I know back when we were making the late night television in Seattle, that a lot of people would tell me that they wait to smoke with me. And I was like, that is so cool. But don't wait. It's good for you. Don't wait. Just burn. Just, if you're ready, burn. That's what I say. That's how I live my life. All right, so it's a call-in show. The telephone number is right there on the screen. Let's see. Telephone number on the screen, 805-669-6397. 805-669-6397. What? Who keeps putting out my joint? Oh, there's a little bit of a breeze. That's what I've been waiting for. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like the next couple days. It's like, I don't know. I mean, last time it got to be 90 degrees, I pulled my mattress downstairs and put a fan in the middle of the living room and just like, but Craig was out of town that week, so it was easy to do. I'm definitely happy that George Floyd thing is over. I guess it's not over. According to Derek Chauvin, more evidence is going to come out. There was this guy on the news earlier, and there was this kid who made it out of the Miami building collapse. According to the news, he made it out of the building without a scratch. And they were interviewing his baseball coach or something, and the baseball coach said God was looking out for him, you know. And his mom died in the collapse, and which is not why I was laughing. But when you say God was looking out for him, you know, well, God just killed his fucking mom, so I don't know how you think that God was looking out for him. Because if God was looking out for him, you know, I'd think he wouldn't have killed his fucking mom. Didn't mean to say hey. He, ha, who. E, ah, ooh, ooh. E, ah, ooh, ooh. Like I said, I don't function well in the heat, so I'm going to have a hard time going on one of my typical rants. So you know, I'm just here trying to take phone calls and have a conversation. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. If you want to call, it's no big deal if you don't. I'll just play another video because I'm pretty good at that, and I came prepared. So let's watch this video about a stabbing that happened, and a couple of bystanders stopped the stabbing by going after the person that was doing the stabbing, you know. And the thing about it is that that's what should happen to the cops too. You know, it's like when Derek Chauvin was sitting on George Floyd's neck, right? I've said to people, you know what? stop filming, take your fucking camera and hurl it right at Derek Chauvin's head, or whatever killer cop it is. You don't want to do that with your phone? Take your keys out of your pocket and throw it at the motherfucker's head. Okay? That'll probably get him up off of the person that he's in the process of killing. Okay? Because because obviously he has anger issues, and he's gonna come after you after you thunk him in the face with your keys. So, and maybe put out one of his eyes. And that will stop him from murdering someone. So whatever happens to you, you are the hero in this situation, not some fucked up piece of shit killer cop. See, now you got me ranting again. Oh, I need one of those. Puff puff? Have a puff puff. I need a dab. I need a dab. Dabs for donation. I need a freaking dab. I'm gonna have to take a dab. Fine, I'll take a dab. I don't need your permission. I don't need anyone's permission. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I do what I want. Let's see. Oh, right, stabbing. Let's play that video. And I will be right back to take a dab in my honor. Unless, of course, someone donated. And then I'll take it in their honor. Be right back.
We begin here in Germany, where 3 people have been killed and at least 5 others seriously injured in a knife attack. Police shot and arrested a 24-year-old Somali man in the southern city of Würzburg. The state of Bavaria's interior minister says the suspect has a history of mental illness. Police have confirmed there is no further danger to the public. Witnesses say pedestrians tried to hold off the attacker. Witnesses say the knife man attacked people in the city centre for no apparent reason, because before he was confronted by passers-by and then arrested.
We saw him. He had a really big knife and was attacking people. And then people tried to throw chairs or umbrellas or cell phones at him to stop him. But none of that worked. Then the police approached him and a shot was fired. You could hear that clearly. In any case, they caught him.
Straight to Würzburg then, where we join reporter Sasha Hack. Welcome, Sasha. Tell us what's going on there now.
Now it's quite calm. What we see is right behind us. This is the scene where the thing happened today. It was about 17 o'clock, 17:30. And around this corner where the policemen are placed now and the ambulance is placed, there was that 24-year-old attacker who tried to injure a woman. And then the eyewitnesses tried to help her, and people around tried to help her. And what then happened was several fights. We could see that in the social media on videos of eyewitnesses, that people tried to help and they were injured too. So what we know by now, what the police said about half an hour ago, was that it is a single attacker, that he might be psychological in a crisis, and that there is no information for a terror attack or something like this. And what you could see on these videos was numerous of people were trying to help that woman, trying to help everybody who was injured, which was absolutely dramatic and crazy, that they tried to overwhelm him, that they tried to stop him with his 40-centimeter long knife. And then he tried to run away in that little street over there where the policemen are standing now. And what an eyewitness told us, what he heard a single shot, and after that the man was arrested.
What's known of the victims?
What we know about the victims right now is just 5 minutes ago the police confirmed that it's 3 dead, and there might be several partly really heavily injured, like 16 people heavily injured. And we hope with these people, and we hope that the number of dead is not rising in the night.
Right. And this attacker not known to police?
He wasn't known to the police. for my information. He's 24 years old. He might be from Somalia. This is what the police said 10 minutes ago, but that's all I know about him. The police is saying that he's a single attacker, that there was no further people involved in the action, and that he might be in a psychological crisis.
Right. And Würzburg, a small town, but this is not the first time the city has suffered this sort of attack.
Yeah, actually, it's almost the day 5 years ago, and the 21st of June 2016, we had an attack in a train very, very close to Würzburg. There was a man like 17 years old, and he attacked several people in that train with Next, and they were really, really seriously injured. These people came from Far East, and they suffer till today under these injuries they had. 5 years ago was that.
Thank you so much for joining us. Sasha Hack in Würzburg.
I just want to reiterate, not just Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. We need to stand up and fight. Can't get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, people forget about you.
Amen.
So the legend will still live on. George is not here, but his spirit lives here. Breonna Taylor is not here, but the spirit still lives here. Eric Garner is not here, spirit's still right here. But the fact that we're here fighting, I want all you all to stand up and fight. Thank you all so much.
Jackie Cat, you're so nice. How's your plants doing, Shug? Anything pretty yet? I have to get some video of mine to put on the show one night. We'll do a tour. It's gonna be so hot. I gave him food yesterday for the first time. Just like a tea made out of bat guano and crab shells and fish bones and kelp and a little bit of molasses. I thought it was going to come out today and they'd all be dead. Because, I don't know, it's like I'm pretty new to growing, and I was worried. It was their first feeding. I didn't know how they'd respond. But they all had their leaves pointing straight up going, ah, Turka Turka Muhammad Jihad. Which was pretty cool. It's going to be so hot. I'm really concerned about them the next couple days. Lots of water. Lots of water. V for Vendetta. Let's see. Where were we? We were doing something with someone about somehow, somewhere. I forget what it was. Do you guys remember? I have more videos. I can play more videos, but it would be way nicer if we could have a little conversation, like about whatever it is that's on your mind. Because that's the whole point of the show, is to say, hey, what's up with you? I like doing that. Are you guys just not interested in having somebody who's actually interested in what's up with you? Someone who wants to interact with you on their web YouTube page? Huh? Is that just not interesting at all? I would think you'd find it very interesting, because I don't see any other call-in shows. I mean, there must be a few of them, but I don't see any. So if you know some, I would be surprised. I mean, not really. I would think there'd be a lot of call-in shows, but I don't see any. I certainly don't see any that are news-oriented, and it's unfortunate, because there should be a big discussion going on about what's happening in the news, and it shouldn't just be in text. And the reason it shouldn't just be in text is because people misinterpret text constantly, especially humor and a lot of other things. It's just text is very infuriating. Lots. So it's I mean, I used to love the comments in my videos because they would be like a small amount of comments would be like 100 comments in my videos, and now they get 10 or 12 comments. So, but they used to get 500, 1,000 comments. Some of them got 10,000 plus. Hello, caller.
10,000 plus what?
Comments. Some of my videos used to get like 10,000 plus comments. They just don't do that anymore.
You know the fish meal. Let me see if I can see them. What do you got? You got about 1 foot tall plants, basically, maybe 16 inches.
Mm-hmm.
The fish meal's better than the back guano, Mike. It seems to be a superior form of nitrogen. The back guano is really for the little babies, and then once they get to be a foot or more, switch to the fish meal, and you don't need molasses yet. You can just cut the molasses out for another month or 2 months even. But
they're supposed to be done in 2 months.
Yeah, well, that's the middle stage. The potassium stage is the molasses. So
well, that's the kind of bat guano I'm using. Also, is phosphorus bat guano, as opposed to the nitrogen.
What is this? What 550 or something on the box?
No, I get single ingredient nutrients. I go to this place and they give me 2 pounds or 3 pounds, whatever it is I want, and they just write high phosphorus bat guano on the bag. It's a brown paper bag.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, those are all autoflower, so it's not gonna. The phosphorus isn't going to, unless you overwater, it's not going to leave the soil, so it won't. You're not wasting anything. But I just use the back guano on the babies, and then I switch to the fish meal, and man, fuck, they love that fish meal. They start perking up, and they're all green, and oh my god! But I don't think we're going to have the heat wave down here. You guys are getting up there.
How do the plants respond to 110 degrees?
Oh, you're going to see it bolting. I mean, put them in the direct sun and keep them wet.
Yeah.
With lots of nitrogen, and you're going to grow a foot, dude. Your plants are going to get big. I don't know about autoflower, but regular plants will just bolt.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any buds on mine yet.
Mine all have flowers started. Except for I have a half a dozen little babies over there too.
Yeah, but in the heat, when I'm in the heat down here, when it gets about 100 or more, I get 2 1-gallon water bottles and freeze them, and when freeze them for 24 hours ahead of time, so they're really frozen, they're ice.
Yeah.
And then stick them in front of a fan and close the doors on the room you're in. It'll lower your temperature 20 degrees in the room. And you have 2 more ready to go in the freezer.
Yeah.
And you just keep switching them out. And that, if you don't have air conditioning, that's the way to go, man. That's the poor man's air conditioning right there.
Yeah, well, there's not 6 inches of cubic space in my we have 2 freezers. Neither one of them have 6 inches of cubic space, so.
You got too many frozen turkeys in there?
There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. My freezer's packed with meat, and I don't have much space either. But when it gets fucking hot, man, even 1 gallon of frozen water will in front of a fan will do.
No, it sounds like a good plan. There's no doubt in my mind. It sounds like a very good plan.
Yeah, hour and a half, and they're thawed out. They're liquid again, in front of a fan. But the air is just like frozen air, so it's bitching. Thank God for freezers and refrigerators. Just imagine, most of the people on planet Earth don't even have refrigerators. That's how advanced we are, So, what else? Oh, yeah, I want to talk to you about critical mass. Kennedy, in November 22nd, 1963, was assassinated by the CIA and aligned forces. And then the PSYOP started, not the Church Commission, but the Warren Commission. And they said it was some lone guy up in a fucking library with an old Italian rifle and that couldn't load very fast, and this is a real story, and everything else is a conspiracy theory. And then so we didn't have critical mass on that. And then 9/11 happened, and we started to get some critical mass. Critical mass is when you get a majority or a certain percentage of society is about to explode and go into the street, and we didn't have it. I mean, look at all the protests in 2001 or 2 before we went into Iraq. We almost had critical mass there. There was millions and millions and millions of people in the street in 50 different countries protesting the impending war. Had critical mass, but it didn't do much because these people are powerful. You know, oh, the peasants got pitchforks and torches. Oh, whoa. And they send out the police, or not. But what we need is critical mass on everything. It's like, we're not going to take this anymore, and I'm mad as hell. And so that's what it has always changed history, is critical mass. The French Revolution, critical mass. You know, the Martin Luther King and the civil rights, critical mass. You know, if you make a big enough stink and you get on the headlines and George Floyd is killed and Breonna Taylor and the third guy that the dude mentioned, the cigarette guy in New York.
Eric Garner.
Yeah, Eric Garner.
I can't figure out why nobody ever mentions Tamar Rice. It really bothers me nobody ever mentions Tamar Rice.
She was in bed with her boyfriend? Was that the one?
No, Tamar Rice was a 12-year-old playing in a park, and fucking 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds after the cops pull up on the scene, he was dead. And nobody ever talks about him.
Or the Tulsa massacre, where they just wiped out hundreds of black people and buried them in unmarked graves and covered the whole thing up because they were too prosperous. You know, they had a black industry and a black economy, and the white people were getting really jealous, and that was in the 30s, I think. I mean, to me, that's an unforgivable atrocity. No, I'm not making light of Breonna Taylor or Tamar Rice or anybody like that, Eric Garner. But, man, we got to just stop this shit. And what it takes is critical mass. And you had it in the Vietnam protests. You had critical mass. And everybody, including my parents, were saying, look at those dirty hippies protesting our beautiful country. Well, guess what? My parents were dumb fucking people. And they were wrong. And the hippies were right. And they're still right, you know. And you have 3 classes of people. It's way worse right now. You have the super class, which represents and owns the corporations. Then you have the government, whom the super class is influenced by. You know, they take money from the super class. They're bought off. And then the government passes laws, and they pay the enforcers to fuck up the people, and the enforcers are of course, the cops. So that's actually 4 classes of people. But if we get critical mass on any issue in any part of the country for any reason, we can turn it around. And unfortunately, it takes a riot. It takes a Watts riot or a Rodney King riot or a Black Lives Matter riot, even though the lady that started Black Lives Matter lives in a multi-million-dollar mansion with a big fence around it, and she sold out. You know, you're going to get these people that might become heads of certain movements, and then they sell out, and those are the worst kind of snakes of all. They might as well be politicians because they're no better than the politicians. But yeah, this is what it takes to change the world, is critical mass. And so how does the government and the superclass fight the potential critical mass that's always building? Is they divide us, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. Democrats, Republicans, white against black. The dirty Mexicans crossing the border, attacking America. We have to put a big fence up. Blah, blah, blah. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. But the real enemy, of course, is the superclass and the politicians who are protected by the cops, by the enforcers, who are enforcing illegal laws concerning COVID-19, mask wearing, all that stuff. There was never any law passed by any governor. Governors don't make laws. Legislative bodies make laws. But you got governors saying, this is a law, I'm passing this or I'm passing that. No, you're not authorized to make laws, Mr. Governor or Mrs. Governor, to tell us, the people, what to do. The legislative bodies have to do that. But you got everybody walking around with masks and face shields in their car, all alone, even riding bikes, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And so I think information, accurate information, is one of the components of achieving critical mass. And, of course, that's where the PSYOPs come in, because divide and conquer. If you confuse them with 7 different kinds of fake stories, they're not going to know what to do. They'll be running around like ants that you just stuck a stick into their anthill, and now they're all stirred up and, confused. So that's, in a nutshell, where we're at. And everybody has their pet causes. But I seem to be the type of guy that stands back and tries to look at the whole picture. And I think that's, other people can add important details, but I think that's pretty much the whole picture. You got the enforcers, you got the people who are divided, and another element would be apathy. Some people are so tired and that they're just apathetic. It's like, I understand that. I'm tired myself right now, and but I'm not apathetic. I'm just looking at the big picture, and I don't want them to divide and conquer us. And I don't like cops. I don't like the enforcers, even though every once in a while you meet a really cool cop, and he's cool, but he won't cross that thin blue line or that big fat blue line. So that's kind of a treasonous act. I mean, when was the last time you heard of a cop turning in a cop? More than likely they just turn a blind eye. What do you think is going to happen with those other cops that were standing around with Derek Chauvin doing nothing? Because they're just as guilty as he is, as far as I'm concerned.
Who you think Derek Chauvin? You think who is guilty?
The other dim-witted, dumb fuck cops that were just standing around while Derek Chauvin kneeled on George Floyd's neck. They're just as guilty as him, because they were protecting him. While George Floyd was being murdered, there was at least 2 other cops.
There was at least 3 other cops.
Yeah, but weren't they all brought up on certain kinds of charges?
Yeah, they're all gonna be in court over the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, well, I got no problem with 22 and a half years. I just wish the world was in better shape. I wish we weren't divided and conquered. I wish we weren't apathetic. And I wish we could get together and achieve some kind of critical mass, because that's the big picture. Superclass, owners of corporation, owners of Congress. Congress passes a law. The president poops his pants, shakes everybody's hand, acts like a retard. The cops enforce every dumb fucking law, including the illegal ones. And if they're not enforcing a law, they'll invent a law to enforce. And then the people suffer. And it's an economic war. It's a war of information. Yeah, and now everyone relies on the internet for information, so we're kind of fucked there when Facebook, Twitter, YouTube all bottleneck all the information. You're not allowed to say certain things. Certain people are not allowed to be on the internet. So we're not completely fucked, but it seems to be kind of a snapshot of where we're at. So I appreciate open dialogue like you got. You're right. I don't see a lot of people with a call-in show. I've called George Galloway, and that guy's so fucking egotistical. He'll cut you off in like less than 30 seconds, 20 seconds.
I think he's high. I think he's fucking tweaked out or something. He looks pretty fucking spun to me.
Well, he's just so used to his power and his position. He was a member of Parliament, and he's a big important man, and he did this and he did that, and
I like a lot of what he does. But I'm just saying he looks constantly agitated and kind of like he's almost ready to jump out of his own skin. So,
he's pretty old. He's about 70, I think.
Well, usually people that are old aren't like that. They're more relaxed and, especially people who have, what he's had in his life. All I'm saying is he looks pretty fucking spun. That's all I'm saying. He's on the shit, man.
Yeah, well, when I used to call into other shows when Trump was running for president, and I would call into this show or that show and trying to find a good platform where there's really intelligent discussion, and I hit a couple of good shows that seem to appreciate my input, and but nobody is consistent as you. I don't think you appreciate my input, but you're on the air 5 nights a week basically. So yeah, I mean, I wish there was a dozen fucking call-in shows, and
I let you talk for fucking 20 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes, and you want to sit here and say I don't appreciate, and I say thanks for calling, dude.
You're one of the most polite guys I've ever met, Michael. I've never seen you get angry, and
I get angry. I get heated. I don't want to get angry. Angry is not a good place to go. I mean, it doesn't do anything for you,
How hot is it there right now?
Right now it's about 85.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, but tomorrow it's going to be 100, and the next day it's going to be 105, and the next day it's going to be 110. So, which is weird because the 110 day started off as 103, and Monday it's going to be 103. Then all of a sudden it was 105. Now it's fucking 110, and I'm wondering where it's going to go to next.
Which is weird because I've never seen it cool down here and hot up there. It's a really weird kind of inverted situation. Usually I'm down here in the desert in California, and I'm 103 or 105, and you guys are a 70 up there. So yeah. It's a weird fucking thing. If I was a weatherman or I paid attention to the weather, I could tell you, well, this front is coming here and that front is doing that, and then they do-si-do and turn around, spin your partner upside down, but fucking, you don't need a weatherman to see which way the wind blows. When it's hot, you feel it, so fucking, yeah, just hang in there, dude. Too bad you don't have the freezer space, because that's the way to get through it. And how long is your hot spell supposed to last? About 3 days?
It's supposed to go back down to 90 on Tuesday from 110. So that should feel like some relief, but it's still way too hot for me.
Yeah. Well, I spent my entire life working in 100-degree weather, outdoors, in the hardest jobs on earth. So my solution was the only solution, which is drink lots of water and keep yourself fucking wet all day long, because most of the time you don't have shade if you're working construction. Yeah. So I'm like a fucking Indian, man. I just got used to it, but now,
Yeah. No, I'm gonna use the hose on Rufus like every day. He loves the hose, so get him over there and get him all wet, and then he can do what he wants to be cool. But that seems to help.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of basically. That's I worked I've been painting apartment buildings all week long, and finally tomorrow I'll have a day off. So,
when does your package from the Philippines arrive?
oh, several months, man. At least 3 months.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Is she waiting on visas or what?
Yeah, she's working on her visas right now, and the house there should sell within a couple days. So, you know, there's all the money that you need for visas and plane tickets right there. So, yeah. Oh, check this out. She took her phone into the shop because I guess the screen was broken, right?
Uh-huh.
And she takes it into a phone shop. She says, "Can you fix my phone?" And then she must have forgot about it or something, and she didn't pick it up for like 30 days. She goes in there yesterday, tries to pick up her phone. They said, you waited more than 30 days, so we sold your phone. So she hit the guy with her motorcycle helmet.
I don't know how you forget your phone for 30 days. I mean, from what I understand, most people can't put the damn things down, so...
Well, she just was using other people's phones, but that's the third person she's hit with her motorcycle helmet in a year. So,
well, don't be getting her no motorcycle, dude.
No, she's leaving her scooter there, but she doesn't even know how to operate a clutch. She's just got this little moped-looking thing. It's got like one gear on it, you know, no clutch. So, but she's got a helmet.
Well.
Oh yeah, and fucking we talked about that before. How Duterte is threatening to, enforce vaccination laws there.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck? And this is the weirdest thing of all. He says, I heard him say this because I watched the Philippine television channel.
Oh yeah, what channel is that?
Oh, it's not Pinoy. I can throw a video on your Facebook page.
Okay.
But I can't think of the actual thing right now. But it's the Philippine news service basically in English, so it's easy to understand.
I gotta find it. I would like to have that source or be able to tap into it from time to time.
So I was watching Duterte speak about vaccines, and he was saying, if you don't get a vaccination, he's talking like a dictator, right? If you don't get a vaccination, I'll forcibly inject you with ivermectin. But ivermectin is actually good. It's actually one of the non-patented remedies that they should have been giving the people of planet Earth a year ago. Ivermectin, remdesivir, and hydroxychloroquine. So he'll be doing them a favor if he injects them with ivermectin, but he's too dumb to know that. So I'm trying to get her out of the Philippines before the mandatory vaccinations come in. Then they got, I don't know, mutation number 6, the Delta mutation, whatever it is, coming out of India. So I don't know, man. It's like, don't let a good crisis go to waste. And you can tell the people that are power hungry, they've really taken advantage of this crisis. So, yeah, my package will arrive in a couple months, and hopefully she won't be hitting me with her motorcycle helmet. But
like I said, don't get her no motorcycle, dude.
So, yeah, man, I'm just kind of burned out, and I'm thankful. I don't think it got hotter than 85 here today. So, but my plants are doing great because I hit them with the fish emulsion, and they're like fucking solid green, man. There's all green, and I don't have any buds. So I got another miner right now. The tallest one is about 3 foot tall, So I got another 3 months, June, July, August, September, October, 3-4 months before I'm harvesting,
But they're photo periods, so it's not a matter of how big they are. It's a matter of you have to wait for the sun to change, right?
Yeah. But that's why you want to get them in the ground in June or the middle of July, so that you have time for them to get big, and then you bend them over, train them to be a sea of green, and all your buds are kind of the same size. And
well, how come you don't get them in the ground in May?
Well, I do sometimes. It's just this year I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. I did plant about 5 or 8 of them in May, but the majority of them went in the ground in June. So, and it's still June. So, by mid, what do you call it? Midsummer solstice is you're supposed to get them all in the ground, and I had them all in the ground. I don't know, 3 weeks ago. I think I finished planting, so I'm good. So we had a big ass moon last night, full moon. I forget what they call it. You happen to know?
Strawberry.
Strawberry moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had people telling me it looked fucking bitchin'.
Yeah, I've been watching the moon all week. The moon has been beautiful all week.
Yeah, I saw a map of Seattle, and Seattle's like this. I saw like all the waterways that kind of, I don't know, there's a name for them, the waterways that kind of go inland. What do you call those? The Sound, right? That's the Sound.
Oh, yeah, that's the Sound.
So, and you guys have orcas in the Sound,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty bitchin' right there.
Not for much longer.
And what's the pollution like going into what they call the Puget Sound?
I'm not sure. It's not good. I mean, it's everywhere. There's just tons of pollution going into the whatever waterways there are. The orcas' problem is that they only eat like one type of salmon. That's it. That's all they eat, and the salmon are having a really hard. This particular type of salmon is having a really hard time getting to where they need to breed, and then getting back out into the water because of all the dams and shit. I played a video about it about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we got a dam right here where I live, and they want to tear it down, and so that the salmon can swim up river. Not that we even have a river. It's a fucking desert. It's dry most of the fucking year. And they want all that water. I'm against them tearing the dam down because the dam feeds all the aquifers. And the moment they tear that dam down, all the aquifers are going to be strained or go dry. So, and the dam was built 100 years ago. So, fuck the salmon as far as I'm concerned. I think giving water to Southern California in this area is more important than, trying to return Mother Nature back to the way it was 150 years ago.
Well, we can't say that here though, because if we fuck the salmon, then we fuck the orcas, and they're gone, dude. There's like 70 of them left in the Puget Sound, right? 70. So it's a done deal. But it'd be really nice if it was. See, if it was a priority, right? I have this feeling like if Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or any of these other rich fucking cunts, if they wanted to save the manatees, it'd be a done deal. If they wanted to save the Puget Sound orcas, it'd be a done deal. But it's just not on their priority radar anywhere soon.
Because we are all not only detached from nature in our personal lives, most of us, but we're detached from the ecosystem where we should be considering ourselves both part of the ecosystem and shepherds of the ecosystem, and we're not. We're really bad shepherds, and so we have the capacity. We just don't have the will.
It's because of programming and being misled. People, they have this. I don't think that it's they hate nature, or they've been programmed to act like somehow nature is a threat to them. Like murder hornets. The murder hornets are coming for you. They've been programmed to believe that the best thing that can be possible is to conquer nature. Otherwise, a tiger might jump out of the bush and kill you. It's a strange programming. So it's too bad, because it's this thing I talk about teaching empathy from the time people are in kindergarten. If they taught empathy, this would be a completely different planet. But it's just not. Again, it's this thing that's not on the radar. I don't know how they can't teach kids, empathy from start to finish. Hey, I gotta take a break, Mike.
All right, well, stay cool, my friend, and if you're still alive, I'll talk to you next week.
Okay, stay cool too. Talk to you soon. Thanks for calling. Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna play a quick video for you here about let's see, Derek Chauvin's time in prison, and Jonathan Turley talking about Derek Chauvin's time in prison and what he has to look forward to, and how most people in his situation don't make it out the same person as when they went in, which is good because he's going in as a fucking killer cop, right? So it'd be really good if he came out not being a killer cop, don't you think? Be right back.
Jonathan Turley with us right now. Jonathan, your thoughts on the 22 and a half years and where this goes?
This was pretty much within the zone that most of us were discussing in the days preceding the sentencing. Many people wanted to see a 30-year sentence. The baseline for this type of offense is about 150 months, and that's about it's about 12 and a half years. He got 22 and a half, so he had 10 years tacked on because the court had found 4 aggravating circumstances. Obviously, the most important is that he held this position of authority in commission of his crime. It's important for people to realize that this is not the end of sentencing for Chauvin, because he is charged with a federal offense, as are his colleagues. Those colleagues have not been convicted. They'll be tried in March. Their case is going to be more challenging for the prosecution. But as for Chauvin himself, this may not be the full extent of his time to be served.
Now, he did see that as Chauvin to telegraph, particular situations that will come to light. I don't know whether he's referring to this juror who supposedly was seen in a T-shirt. I'll get your photo off our neck. I'm paraphrasing here. Which might be a way to just throw out the old trial, start a new one. What is the likelihood of something like that?
Well, the statement he made to the court was a bit of a head scratcher to say, I have something coming. It's a bit late. This is your sentencing. So whatever's coming is going to come after sentencing. And I can't imagine how it would bring closure to this grieving family. There are issues in trial that are concerning, including possible juror misconduct, including whether this was the right forum, whether they should have taken this case out of the city. But none of those issues are likely to result in a reversal. Those are some of the toughest types of appeals to take.
So, looking at what life will be like for Derek Chauvin now, I was just mentioning, with Ted Williams, Jonathan, this idea already for all this time in jail, he's been under watch, 23 hours of each day in a solitary cell. He is kept away from other inmates. He's allowed, I believe, an hour for exercise every day. That's it. Now, will that continue?
It may have to continue in some form. As you know, I run a prison project for older prisoners. I've spent a lot of time in federal and state prisons, unfortunately. But it's very difficult for a former officer. They tend to be put under special conditions because their lives are continually at risk, particularly for a prisoner like Chauvin. That is going to remain the case for the rest of his years. People age faster in prison, and the fastest are ex-police officers. The level of tension, the threats that they have to deal with are continual, and they're grinding. And that takes an impact on health and your mental status. Also, the seclusion used to protect these officers is itself punishing. I've had clients that have been put into segregation for long periods of time. Only 2 of those clients in my entire career came out the way they went in. Human beings need interaction. And when you're in segregation, I got to tell you, people have no idea how quickly segregation begins to impact your mental health.
Did Derek Chauvin help his case at all with his brief remarks?
No, you know, it was one of those rather odd statements were too clever by half. You know, I understand if he doesn't want to make a statement to the court, but to say there's something coming that's going to be really important to you, it was almost insulting for the family. The important thing for them was the loss of their loved one. Whatever may happen with regard to Chauvin's status it sort of pales in comparison. But also for the court, it was a head start.
What do you think he meant, though, Jonathan? I'm sorry to jump on you, my friend, but what do you think he meant by that? At first, I thought this juror in question, but he seemed to intimate something there the Floyd family is unaware of. So it left a lot of folks scratching their head, right?
Yeah, unless he's going to come up with an evil twin defense, I can't imagine what would materially change their view of him or the sentence or the case. Now, sometimes the defense does get information after a trial that is material, but I'm not too sure why that would have a healing effect upon the family. Those are things like juror misconduct that might be grounds for an appeal. So I have to tell you, I'm completely at sea on this one. I don't know what he's referring to, because he said that whatever it may be will bring some solace to the family. Now, the only thing that will bring solace to them is if he drops his appeal. I mean, you know, that I suppose could bring some solace, but otherwise I can't imagine what he's referencing.
Jonathan Turley, thank you very, very much. We are following this story, but also following up.
I just want to reiterate, not just Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. We need to stand up and fight. Can't get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, people forget about you.
Amen.
So the legend will still live on. George is not here, but his spirit lives here. Breonna Taylor is not here, but the spirit still lives here. Eric Garner is not here, spirit still right here. But the fact that we're here fighting, I want all you all to stand up and fight. Thank you all so much.
Keep fighting. Keep fighting. This is what I say every single day. We have to fight the man. We have to fight for freedom. We have to fight for justice. We have to fight for a better tomorrow. We're going to have to fight for everything. And the only way we're ever going to be successful is if we can come together. And all those things that we have to fight for freedom, fight for justice, fight for everything that I talk about is all because of the government. Because of the government, we have to fight for these things, which we shouldn't. The government is put there to defend our freedom. The government is there to create a just society. They haven't done anything like that, nor does it seem like they are intending to do so. It's just divide the rich, you know, the haves from the have-nots, more and more and more. You know, and I don't see anybody speaking out about it. You know, as far as politicians, the haves and the have-nots, poverty, you know. As opposed, I mean, if you look at the Jeff Bezos as opposed to people who live in poverty, and then realize that Jeff Bezos pays less in taxes than the average American U.S. citizen, you know, not that his taxes are going to make a big difference. It's just that there's no justice there. He already has everything in the world. He already has more money than he's ever going to spend, and probably makes that much money every single year. Although he did just buy a yacht for his yacht, because his yacht didn't have a helicopter pad on it, and his current girlfriend is a helicopter pilot, so he had to buy a second yacht to follow his primary yacht, so that you know, they can fly in and off the with their helicopter. Like I said, Jeff Bezos makes more money than he's ever going to be able to spend. So I don't see as why it's such a negative for him to pay at least the same percentage as your average U.S. citizen. The same percentage that your average U.S. citizen pays in income tax is exactly George Soros. No, not George Soros. Amazon, dude. Jeff Bezos should pay a little bit more than the average U.S. citizen taxpayer pays, right? I mean, just a little bit, but instead he pays less in percentage than the average U.S. taxpayer. Again, where this priority is, isn't about the people. It's about the rich people, the haves, the people who already have everything and already make, more money than they're ever going to spend in 1 year. They can't pay just a tiny bit more in taxes. I am confused. At one point, for really rich people in the United States, the tax rate was 90%. Anybody who made over $1 million a year, had to contribute 90% in taxes. $1 million a year was a lot more money then. The point is that, nobody's looking for Jeff Bezos to pay 90% of his money, his income, into the tax system. But he should pay at least the same percentage as your average U.S. taxpayer. And he really should at least pay a small amount more. Because he gets everything. He has everything. How much... you would think these people would want to pay their fair share in taxes because... Well, not really, considering what the U.S. government does. But just so you would look like you're on the up and up. Like, hey, I put in, I make more money than I need. I don't mind putting in if it's for the common good. Now, if it's for the war profiteers to make their profits, take their profits from, I could understand why you might not want to do that. That's a big part of why I don't, participate in whatever it is that's happening. Tiny house. We have the tiny house right back there. It's the tiny house. Right, but we want to start with the military-industrial complex. We don't need to start with Amazon. The government needs to take over the entire military-industrial complex. And then, instead of people making all this profit off of it, and by making a giant profit off of tanks and bullets and rifles and bombs, by making giant profit off of it, it is in their best interest to spread war everywhere, isn't it? But that's not in the people's best interest at all. In fact, it really fucks the people. It really fucks our country, okay? Because 50% of our current GDP, gross national product, GDP, whatever. 50% of the money that this country currently makes, the government makes, goes into acquisitioning weapons and building weapon systems and such. And 50% of what the United States makes, what the U.S. government pulls down, goes to that. And I think it's more than that. I think it's probably more than that. But the point is that our country needs that. We don't need to spread war around the world. Our country needs to focus on more important things than murdering little babies so that some rich piece of shit can make it become even more rich. Our country needs to focus on infrastructure. Our country needs to focus on hungry people. I mean, if the United States was really the shiny beacon in the world that it likes to claim that it is, you know, we could solve the hunger issue in the world. We could solve the homeless issue in the world. We could solve the manatee issue in the world. The Puget Sound orca in the issue in the world. Unfortunately, we don't have priorities like that. Just a minute, Jockey Cat! And I don't understand why. I don't understand why people like George Soros, Jeff Bezos, you know, Bill Gates, why they wouldn't want to be the ones who saved the manatees. Imagine what kind of hero Jeff Bezos would be to the world if he decided it's going to become his priority to make sure the manatees are safe and have a habitat in which they can survive for many decades to come. It's a done deal. I don't understand why you don't want to be heroes to the world like that. Because you got yours. That's what it should be about. If you have yours, you should be like, I'm gonna make the world a better place. Not buy a second fucking yacht to follow my first yacht because my girlfriend's a helicopter pilot and my first yacht doesn't have a helicopter pad on it. So I gotta buy a second yacht to follow around the first yacht. Instead of saving the manatees. Because it could save the manatees. If they wanted to. And be true heroes to everyone around the world. Look at what this person made happen. Save these beautiful creatures that everyone thought was goner. How can you not want to be that person, Jeff Bezos? I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe once you get a $500 million yacht, you know, you don't really think about manatees anymore. Not that he ever did. I'm confused. Alright. But that's nothing new. I'm going to play a video and I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a big fat dab for Jackie Cat. So, I have a video about Joe Biden hosting a summit at the White House, I believe at the White House, for the Afghan president, which is probably going to be something that extends our commitment in Afghanistan for just a few more months, and a few more months, and a few more months, and a few more months. Because we can't leave Afghanistan. It's right there next to Iran. Where are we going to stage everything if we leave Afghanistan? Don't you know how this works, people? All right, clip number 8 coming up right now.
US President Joe Biden hosts his Afghan counterpart, Ashraf Ghani, at the White House today as Afghanistan faces a crisis. Taliban militants have been steadily claiming territory since the US troop pullout began in May. All NATO troops are now due to leave by September, and the Taliban says it is ready to extend its grip over the country. President Biden has promised billions of dollars in security assistance, but will it be enough? We'll go to Washington for the details in just a moment. First, this report.
Searching for anything they can salvage. Scrap merchants pick through what's left of a former US airbase at Bagram, once the nerve center for operations in Afghanistan. This is what remains here after America's longest overseas war. In the north, the Taliban is on the advance, steadily gaining territory, taking district after district. The UN is sounding the alarm.
Most districts that have been taken surround provincial capitals, suggesting that the Taliban are positioning themselves to try and take these capitals once foreign forces are fully withdrawn.
It's the calm before the storm here in the provincial capital of Kunduz. Residents can only wait as the front line draws closer. Afghan security forces seem powerless to stop the advance. In Kabul, former militiamen, men who fought against the Taliban decades ago, are now returning to arms to bolster the defense.
We've gathered here to defend the Republic, freedom of speech, and the independence of Afghanistan. If the Taliban want peace, we will make peace with them. But if they want to fight, we are ready for them, and we will defend our land.
Emboldened by the US withdrawal, this Taliban commander is confident of victory.
We have defeated the Americans. The Afghan government is a slave administration. When the Americans leave, it won't last 5 days.
More than half of all US troops have already left the country. The rest will follow by September the 11th. More work for Afghanistan's scrap merchants.
Let's get more from DW correspondent Oliver Salet in Washington. Welcome, Oliver. What can we expect then from this meeting between the presidents of the United States and Afghanistan?
Yeah, it's quite a desperate situation, Phil, that the Afghan president Ashraf Ghani finds himself in, as we've seen in the report. The Afghan government eroding, losing power, Taliban gaining ground, and then there are some reports of the U.S. intelligence community suggesting that the government in Afghanistan could collapse some 6 months after the U.S. have finally pulled out its troops, its remaining 3,500 troops of Afghanistan. So this is the underlying situation that Ghani finds himself in his visit. U.S. pulling out, it will be a call for help. And the U.S. will be willing to offer some kind of help. Some $3.3 billion in security assistance are on the table. So weapons for Afghanistan, in other words. But the message is clear. The U.S. is out and Afghanistan will have to stay on its own feet.
Right. So that's the plan. The situation on the ground deteriorates, the US takes its troops out, leaves a load of money and says, here you are, buy some weapons and security. That's the plan.
Well, some troops are going to stay, so not all of the troops are leaving Afghanistan. Some 650 troops to secure the embassy, the U.S. embassy in Afghanistan, Kabul airport. But Phil, the future relationship between Afghanistan and the U.S. will be rather diplomatic and financial. So money for the Afghan military. Reportedly, the U.S. is currently looking for military bases in the region for potential future aerial bombings. But of course, the U.S. would rather like to stay clear in the future, clear of Afghanistan.
Tell us about what do you think is likely to happen to the many Afghans who helped U.S. troops as interpreters, for example? Their situation must be quite fragile.
Yeah, they are in a very dramatic situation, depending on the fact, of course, on the question if they're still in the country. I met one former interpreter, and he was really fearing for the life of his brother right now, who remains in Afghanistan. He fears that the Taliban could kill him if they find out that he cooperated with the Americans. Some 18,000 contractors are still in the country, contractors or interpreters of the U.S. Army, and the U.S. promised to bring them to the U.S., but that process is very slow. On average, it takes 3 to 4 years for a so-called special immigrant visa to be issued. So there are several ideas circulating right now, and they range from bringing them to the Pacific island, Guam, or to other third countries in the region and have them wait there while their visa applications are being processed.
Right. This does not sound as though Afghanistan is very high in President Biden's list of priorities.
Well, certainly other topics that are more important, to put it carefully, but it is still an important topic, but especially to end the deployment there. So, and therefore, the U.S. government under Biden is very determined to do that. You have to look at the overall political situation in the U.S. President Biden was elected to deliver on domestic issues, rather, infrastructure, healthcare, COVID, which he did, plus the Americans are tired of war. So in that sense, he is delivering now by pulling the troops out. That is a bipartisan sentiment, by the way, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
Thank you for that, Oliver. Oliver Salet in Washington.
I just want to reiterate, not just Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. We need to stand up and fight. Can't get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, people forget about you.
Amen.
So the legend will still live on. George is not here, but his spirit lives here. Breonna Taylor is not here, but the spirit still lives here. Eric Garner is not here, spirit still right here. But the fact that we're here fighting, I want all you all to stand up and fight. Thank you all so much.
Felonious Floyd. That is a great name. I really like that. Felonious Floyd. Awesome. And again, I love it. I fight, fight, fight. You know, this is again my message all the time. We have to fight. And no donations yet, but and it is Dabs for Donations Friday. But I want a dab, and Jackie Cat gives donations all the time. So this one's for Jackie Cat because she's wonderful, and it'd be nice if someone besides Jackie Cat would donate, because I'd love to do another dab after this one. But whatever, I'm good. It doesn't. I mean, it's not that I'm good. It's not that I'm flush. I'm out of money, but whatever. You don't have to donate. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters. I wouldn't ask if it didn't matter, but.
We're getting that dab ready. Here's some bologna for Robert Lee. He wanted some bologna, so here's your thick bologna, buddy. I pay attention to the chat. It's my job.
That one's for Jackie Cat. Thanks, Jackie Cat. You're my favorite. So I have like 1 or 2 videos left. If someone wants to call and have a discussion about what's happening in the world, that would be wonderful. That would be just lovely. Otherwise, I'm just going to play videos because I'm pretty good at that, actually. I've already played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos tonight, and I'll play more. I will. Don't push me. I'll play more videos. I can do it right now, unless someone wants to call. Either way, whatever happens, happens. Que sera, sera. Oh, where was that earlier? Let's see. Earlier, I was looking at... what happened to my thing? Where'd my thing go? Oh, here it is. Hold on. Just a second. Where's it at? Right here. Oh. All alone or in twos. The ones who really love you walk up and down outside the wall. Some hand in hand, and others gather together in bands. The bleeding hearts and artists make their stand. And when they've given you their all, some stagger and fall. After all, it's not easy banging your heart against some mad bugger's wall. Isn't that the truth? It's nothing has ever been more truthful than that statement right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna play another video before I start singing or doing poetry. Too late. I'm gonna play another video. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Okay? I'm gonna do it. I'm telling you, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna play another video in just a second. Which video should we play? We're down to 2 left. only 2 videos left. Oh, I have a very interesting video from the Black News Channel talking about how some people think that, 22 and a half years is not nearly enough for Derek Chauvin, which I think is understandable. Like I said, it shouldn't be a second-degree murder charge. It should be a first-degree murder charge done intentionally. Now, there may be some kind of a premeditated thing for a first degree. The thing is that from what I understand, Derek Chauvin knew George Floyd. Derek Chauvin moonlighted as security at a nightclub where George Floyd was a bouncer. And if you work security at a nightclub as an off-duty police officer, you know who the bouncers are. Okay, so Derek Chauvin knew George Floyd. If this is correct, if they worked at the same place, he knew him. So if he knew him, then maybe there was kind of a premeditative thing, right? Maybe he thought about killing him, and then when the opportunity presented itself, he took advantage of it. Even though there was witnesses, little children watching, even though there were people shouting at him, get off of him, you're killing him. Even though there was an EMT, ambulance paramedic there wanting to help George Floyd, they told the paramedic to stand back until he was dead. Actually, after he was dead, they still wouldn't let the paramedic in to help him. So, in my opinion, second-degree murder isn't enough. And it should have been investigated. This is what I don't understand about what we're seeing in the media, what we saw of the trial, is that there was no discussion, as far as I know, about Derek Chauvin knowing George Floyd, having worked with him at a nightclub, which seems really odd, really peculiar, really like if we're getting to the bottom of what happened here, right? So I don't know. The whole thing's really strange. And this comes back to the empathy thing, right? I was talking the other day about 70 we played a clip like a month ago of a 70-year-old woman suffering from dementia. I think she's 73, and she weighed like 80 pounds, right? And she walked out of Walmart with $60 or $70 worth of groceries, something like that, 45. I don't remember what it was. Let's call it $50 worth of groceries. And she walked out of it. She has dementia. She probably meant to pay for it. She just kind of had a moment, right? And she's walking home, and these cops stop her and throw her to the ground. And again, this is the kind of thing where these people should be helping her. They're like, are you okay? Do you need some help? And here, let us give you a ride home, And, oh, the grocery store said that you didn't pay for it. And that was at Walmart, right? Walmart called the cops, sent the cops after this woman, who obviously isn't like a crook. The cops also, by the way, threw her down to the ground and handcuffed her and stuck her in a jail cell for shoplifting, apparently, which she didn't do, $50 worth of food. Not for shoplifting, for walking out of a Walmart with $50 worth of food that she didn't pay for. Okay? And then after they threw her to the ground and handcuffed her while she's pleading with them, I'm just going home, not knowing what's happening, getting roughed up by these cops, thrown in a jail cell. From what I understand, she was handcuffed for a very, very long time. And cops that are being dicks put handcuffs on very, very tightly. Throw her to the ground, handcuff her, throw it in the back of the car, put her in a jail cell. And then high five and joke about it, laugh about it at the front desk when they know they're being recorded. These are the kind of cops that we have in today's USA, comply or die police state. And the whole thing with George Floyd started at a Walmart, right? At least that's what they would have us to believe. Like I said, Derek Chauvin knew George Floyd. All this is a little too coincidental. And why would you, I mean, George Floyd wasn't a threat to anybody. He wasn't resisting. And, again, knowing that this guy knows him ahead of time and knows that he's killing him and knows that people are watching and filming it. How fucked up is that person? Again, it started at Walmart, and it started at Walmart over supposedly a $20 counterfeit bill, right? A $20 counterfeit bill. George Floyd lost his life over, which any of us, might get a counterfeit $20 bill and go somewhere else and try and spend it. Or not try and spend it, go to spend it, not knowing that it's a counterfeit, and get in trouble, right? Yeah, apparently get murdered by some killer cop. This could happen to anyone. Now, it would be weird if the cop actually worked with you, wouldn't it? So there's a lot of strange things about that. I'm glad to hear that Chauvin got 22 years. That seemed like, it wasn't like I had any kind of expectations. But when I heard that he got 22 years, it was kind of like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders. Like there's this kind of, one shoe on your chest waiting for the other shoe to fall, and it was like, instead of that other shoe falling, the shoe that was already on my chest was like lifted up off of it. And like I said, the outcome wasn't like a real big thing to me. I wasn't like rooting for one side or the other, although I know that George Floyd was wrong. It wasn't something that I was consciously thinking about. But again, it was weird when they said he got 22 years. I was just like, it's like I could take a big deep breath that I was having trouble with maybe moments before, So that was nice. That being said, oh, is that right? Twice a day? Well, I don't know. It's entirely possible. I'm not arguing that point. And I guess what you're saying is they knew that they were doing this and they were waiting for him to come back in, and then when they came back in, they busted him. Over $40 a day, you get murdered. Again, I would understand, stopping George Floyd and trying to, arrest George Floyd, which from what I see, they had him on the ground and he wasn't struggling. That had stopped. And that's no reason not to give him proper medical care when the EMTs are standing right there and they won't let him in to help him. They know what's happening too. And they're asking, please let us help this person. And instead, they murdered him right in front of everybody over what you're saying is two counterfeit $20 bills a day. Which, again, that if that's true, that doesn't make it accidental. At the same time, if you or I did go to pay with a counterfeit $20 bill or $100 bill, that we didn't realize was counterfeit, is that potentially the same outcome for us, right? You or I. Of course not you or I, because we're not black, are we? Or are you, Wookiee? I don't know. At least that's what they would have us to believe in the 21st century. And cops seem to be pretty good with that too. I don't know. I just want I just want to relax and try and get through 110 degrees on Monday. Stay very, 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 very hydrated. I can do it. All right, where were we? Ah, yes, we were going to play another video because no one's calling. So I'll play that video for you now, and I'll be right back, just in case anybody's left.
270 months, 22 and a half years. Derek Chauvin is looking like a long time in prison. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and this is Your World. And minutes ago, you heard it with Martha. Derek Chauvin handed down a sentence from the judge that will keep him behind bars potentially until he's in at least his 60s. Now, there are a lot of complications and details to follow, and still more sentencing that could come down the road with new cases and other charges at the federal level. Suffice it to say, while this range was roughly expected, now we're waiting to hear the reaction from various parties, including from the Floyd family themselves, because Derek Chauvin did speak today. We'll give you the details of that. First, I want to go to Matt Finn in Minneapolis, who's been chronicling this case from the very, very beginning on how things are going right now. Hey, Matt.
Hi, Neil. Right now, peaceful in the streets. There is a semi-large crowd outside of the courthouse, dozens, if not hundreds of people. Moments ago, they were chanting Black Lives Matter, but no protests or any rioting here in Minneapolis, as we have seen before. Moments ago, inside of the courtroom, Judge Peter Cahill handed Derek Chauvin a 22-and-a-half-year sentence. The judge said that he did not make his ruling on emotions or on public demand. He said instead he based this on the rule of law. He said he's releasing a 22-page memo which will explain how he arrived at his sentencing. The big question heading into today's hearing was whether Derek Chauvin was going to speak. In fact, he did. For the first time since George Floyd's death, he never gave an interview. He did not speak during the trial. He did not testify. In fact, he was masked the entire time during the trial. Also, perhaps one of the most profound moments in all of the proceedings, Derek Chauvin's mother gave the victim impact statement. Here is Derek Chauvin and his mother.
At this time, due to some additional legal matters at hand, I'm not able to give a full formal statement at this time. But very briefly, though, I do want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest, and I hope things will give you some peace of mind. Thank you.
Derek, my happiest moment is when I gave birth to you. And my second is when I was honored to pin your police badge on you.
Derek Chauvin's mother also telling the judge that based on his sentence, which is, we now know, 22.5 years, that she and her husband will likely not be here if and when Derek Chauvin is released. Chauvin's mother told the court that her son's identity has been reduced to being a racist, but her son is a good man. He's quiet, thoughtful, and honorable, and the public will never know the loving and caring man that he is. Derek Chauvin kind of giving a cryptic statement there, suggesting that there's something else that might come out in the future that would give the judge some type of peace of mind. But here in Minneapolis, Derek Chauvin now sentenced to 22.5 years. There were aggravating factors. The judge added 10 additional years to the recommended 12.5-year sentence. Neil.
All right, Matt Finn, thank you very, very much. Again, we're trying to figure out the comment that Chauvin was making. There might be some information coming out eventually, but didn't really specify what that might be or how that might even change the process today or follow-up cases that could be developed, particularly at the federal level. I want to go to Ted Williams.
I just want to reiterate, not just Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. We need to stand up and fight. Can't get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, people forget about you.
Amen.
So the legend will still live on. George is not here, but the spirit lives here. Breonna Taylor is not here, but the spirit still lives here. Eric Garner is not here, spirit's still right here. But the fact that we're here fighting, I want all you all to stand up and fight. Thank you all so much.
All right. So we're not getting any phone callers. Rocky's not going to call for whatever reason. I'm not going to say because he's this or that. I'm just saying he's whining in the chat about everybody agreeing with me. I don't think that's true. It might be, but I'm pretty sure it's not true. But it's not. Oh, there we go. Hello, caller.
Hey, it's Rocky. I called in.
Right on. How's it going?
Not too bad. Hey, I was just, I came in kind of late, but I was just wondering why you felt so relieved with the level of sentence that Chauvin got from this trial.
Because a lot of people were watching it, and it meant a great deal to many, many people who watched Derek Chauvin kill George Floyd, which he did, quite purposefully, and everyone wanted to see some kind of appropriate justice. And from what I understand, there was a very good chance that he was going to get a 6-month sentence, suspended with 2 years probation. So
you actually believe that he was intending to kill him?
I believe that he knew that he was killing him and didn't do anything and didn't stop. He knew that he was killing him. He could have got up off of him at any moment and chose not to.
Okay, so can we just take a step back here and go into the perspective of him, with him being recorded? Obviously, he's looking at people recording him. He knows that there's a lot of commotion going around and everyone's witnesses and they're seeing what's going on, and you still think that he's intentionally trying to kill him when he knows that he will be held accountable for his actions.
I'm telling you that I'm not saying he's intentionally doing it. I'm telling you he knew that he was doing it and he didn't stop. For whatever reason, whether it was intentional or he was distracted or whatever, he knew that he was killing him and he didn't stop. That's what I'm telling you.
But I just don't see how you can conclude that he knew he was killing him. I know that his actions weren't necessarily.
He was a police trainer, okay? And what he was doing is actually illegal. So he was a police trainer.
No, that's not true. I live in Minnesota, okay?
Uh-huh.
There's actually documents that I can pull up for you, I can cite for you, where this was actual procedure where you use the neck hold with your knee.
Mm-hmm.
And if you actually see from different angles, for most of the time he had his neck on his shoulder and on his back. Now, we can
which he moved up and moved up and moved up slowly.
Well, ultimately, George Floyd is dead, and that's a sad situation. But to try to conclude that someone who clearly is going to be held accountable while everyone's watching him, people are yelling at him, he's got people recording him, and for him to actually think that he's
right, that's what you're saying.
Killing someone is, I think that's kind of intellectual dishonesty to try to think that he's actually trying to kill someone.
I didn't say he was trying to kill someone. What I said was he knew that he was killing him and he didn't stop. Okay? I believe, like I said, for whatever reason, I don't think that was necessarily his intent, but he knew that that's what was happening, and he didn't stop.
Was there gunshots?
That's fireworks. My dog's not laughing.
No, that's that, and people that are have post-traumatic stress disorder from war get affected by that too.
The PTSD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I will agree that, like, I'll give you an inch here by saying that he was unresponsive, right? There was a level within his hold on him where he was unresponsive, and so he didn't take due care in his health at a certain point that we can clearly see, right?
And they kept the medics from helping him too. They would not. The medics kept asking if they could help the person, George Floyd, and they kept the medics back. Said no, stay back. So, you know, there's a whole lot going on there that should be, you know, there should be a price to pay for what they did. Like you said, in his care, right? He was under his care at that point. And the facts are, from what I understand, 5 other people died under Derek Chauvin's care. Meaning when he you know, was had them restrained, they died. So again, it wasn't that, I'm not saying he did it intentionally. I'm saying that he knew what was happening and didn't stop. And then after George Floyd was fucked over, they wouldn't let the medics help him either. And those people that were filming, I wish one of them would have fucking taken their cell phone and thrown it right at Derek Chauvin's head, because maybe George Floyd would still be alive.
Well, there's a lot of different circumstances that could have occurred where he would have been alive, and a lot of times no one ever mentions that. There's you know, the whole scenarios that we have in society where we don't do anything about the fact that people have drug issues, right? So people that, I mean, you look, I mean, probably even
What is it that you
cities.
think? What is it you think that should be done about people with drug issues?
It's a difficult discussion, isn't it?
Not really.
I mean,
not if you
ideas.
understand it. If you understand it, it's not that difficult. The drug war is clearly a failure.
Well, yeah, no, hold on a second. I agree with you on that, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be combative about the drug war. It's been an absolute failure, and it's been a bipartisan failure, just like the Iraq war, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a complete failure.
Except for this war is against the American people. So
what the problem we have is that we have people on the left that are saying we should just legalize everything and not do anything about the fact that people are just rotting on the streets, dying in major cities. And then you have people on the right that are like, well, we need to, you know, criminalize it or whatever it may be. There's got to be an in-between. I don't think that we should criminalize people. We should give at least some sort of like criminal consequences to certain actions. But basically, we need to get people to get treatment. They can't just sit on the streets rotting to death.
But if you look at
people and middle class people ignoring them while they're dumping needles on the street and just laying there dying.
This is what the drug war has brought us. Okay, an epidemic of meth, an epidemic of heroin, an epidemic of fentanyl, and it goes on. And that's what, and as long as the drug war continues, as long as there's penalties against people doing what people have done for 1,000 generations, which being the big-brained, upright walking tippy top of the food chain, understanding, hey, I like it when I take this substance. It makes me feel good. That's what it means to be the upright, big brain tippy top of the food chain, you know, because we can do what we want. And then we have this fucking police state, which is what was done 1,000 generations before the last 100 years, in which the drug war got pushed on us, which brought us a heroin epidemic and a meth epidemic. So instead of penalizing people, you legalize everything like was done in Portugal. And then the people that are doing these horrible drugs, they have at least safe horrible drugs. You know, they have drugs that they know what it is, as opposed to some shit off the street. And
no, I agree with you on that, but there has to be a consequence for the actions that people take that are destructive to the community while they're taking their legal drugs. If they're destructive for the community, there has to be some sort of consequence and some sort of treatment to get them to a level where they can participate in the rest of society. We can't just let them sit in, you know, LA or, you know, San Francisco or Seattle, just living on the streets, just taking shits in the street and leaving needles all over the ground and
this is
just
what
creating a cesspool of garbage.
This is what the
they
drug
have to
war.
be predominant members of society.
This is what the
and
drug
you can't
war
just hide
has
them
created.
in the corner. They have to be with us as people.
This is what the drug war has created. You want them
The
with
drug war has not created
Yes, it
San
has.
Francisco.
Okay, you want them to be members of the community. Well, they can't be that when they get penalized for using these drugs.
But they're not getting penalized.
Of
in
course
Portland.
they are.
They're not getting penalized in San Francisco. They're doing whatever they want, and no one's stopping them. And they're living destructive lives.
Because the drug war, okay? Because the black market. Because they can't just go to the party store and pick up their supplies at a reasonable price where there's fucking pamphlets to say, are you in over your head? Do you need help? Where there's free fucking help.
Pamphlets are not going to stop this issue.
No,
and we need to.
No,
and I agree with you. We need
it.
to. I agree with you that we need to end the drug war. I'm on board with you with that, but that's not going to fix the issue of places where they have decriminalized it, and they're the worst places on the planet.
Again, this is because of the black market. Okay, the black market creates crime. Okay, anybody who understands how the system works knows that for a fact.
But if you're so addicted to drugs, like hard drugs, you cannot be a predominant member of society because that's all you care about. And whether they're, you know, $100 or whether they're $1, they're still going to have to commit crimes if they can't hold a job.
No, if it's a dollar, they're not going to have to commit crimes. They just stand outside the party store. They just stand outside the fucking party store and say, "Hey, can you spot me a $5 so I can get my shit?" And the people who are going to the party store already have money, so they'll be like, "Yeah, bro, no problem." All right, and plus they're in party mode, so yeah, man, yeah, no problem. Okay, so they don't have to rob, and plus those people don't want to get robbed somewhere down the street. So, but that's not the issue. If you legalize, what's going to happen is when people do get in over their head, which is the problem now, they go, "Oh, I'll try this, see what it's like. Everybody lied to me about marijuana being bad for me." So then they try.
I agree with that.
Then they
part
try
of it.
these drugs, and people don't want to be addicts. They try these drugs, and they go, "Oh, that's pretty cool," and then they realize, "Hey, this is not the life I want." And they don't have to go months and months, 6 months, a year to figure that out. Most people, you know, once they start.
So here's one of my solutions to that: is that all that money that we're paying in taxes going towards the federal, drug war, take all that money and put it into treatment.
This is what I'm saying, dude. This is exactly what I'm saying.
No, that's where we're at. Like, we don't need to yell at each other about it. It's like we both want to solve it, but to try to correlate, and at the same time, I believe that we should decriminalize all drugs, and we should be able to manufacture them at a cheap rate, but we also need to try to create incentives where people don't do those drugs and don't do them at the rates that they're doing, and don't sit on the street and rot and die, because people are dying in mass amounts of drug abuse, and trying to correlate that we don't have cheap drugs as being the reason why people are rotting on the streets.
The black market is the reason.
There's no correlation.
No, the black market is the reason.
How is the black market the reason why we're letting people die on the streets?
Because, as you just said, the resources are being spent in stupid places instead of helping those people that are dying on the street. Okay? If you give... Look, the black market, the reason that this creates the problem is because you don't necessarily have to go to the black market with cash. You can go to the black market and say, hey, I have this. I have gold bars. I have, this thing that's of value. And it'd be really good if you could give me just a little something for it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so you can't go to the party store with, whatever, that you just sold, a catalytic converter, and say, hey, I need some shit, man. Okay, and if you look at the empirical data out of Portugal, where they have legalized all drugs, the heroin use, the meth use pretty much has dropped off to nothing, because people don't have to hide in the shadows. They can come out, and then people are actually able to reach out to them and say, hey, is this really the life that you want? Once there's no more prosecution of the people, then they're able to get help. And if you look at Portugal, I'm telling you, you'll see that heroin and meth use dropped off to pretty much nothing. So there's your answer.
Okay, so I think that we're kind of talking past each other on this, because we both agree that, yes, we should decriminalize drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we should also get rid of the black market and have it so that it's affordable. So
that's legal. That's not decriminalizing. That's legalizing.
Well, legalizing it, yeah, we can go with that. But I'm saying that it's not a direct correlation. It can be part of the whole encompassing picture of it, but saying that the black market is the reason why places that have basically said, we don't even care about enforcing any sort of laws on drug abuse, are the worst places for the drug abuse.
It absolutely is because of the black market, dude.
Well, I just don't agree that that's the causation.
Well, again, look.
So we'll have to
please look at Portugal, where they legalized all drugs, and see what that meant, like over a decade ago, and see what the outcome has been there. Okay, please look at that.
I can definitely look into it. I think that maybe there's a huge cultural difference between here and there, which might be worth pointing out.
Maybe.
But I will look into it.
I'm just saying people would be able to get help as opposed to staying in the shadows. As long as they have to hide, or it messes up their life, they'll hide. And as long as they're hiding, they're not able to get better.
Yeah, but we have a culture here. I don't know what it's like in Portugal, because I don't know enough about it. I mean, I have a friend that's Portuguese, but I haven't talked about drugs with him. I would think that out of any country on the planet, we have a culture that basically has enslaved many a people with legal drugs. So, you know, we could talk about decriminalizing or legalizing drugs. You can go to a doctor, and doctors are drug dealers. And so we have a nation of people that are addicted to drugs that are fully legal and destroy their lives because they can find doctors that will prescribe them opiates and their whole lives fall apart.
Again, this is something that the people try and do their best to hide from everyone. Okay, as opposed to where, you know, if it's this thing where we understand that everybody is potentially having this issue, and you know what, you can't just go to doctors. Even Rush Limbaugh was having to buy pills from people other than doctors. And he's a really good example, you know. I mean, here's this guy who's got everything. He's in the spotlight, and he's not able to come out and get help. And why? Because if he did, everybody would look at him like, oh, he's a drug addict. He talks about drug addicts all the time, you know. So he's got to keep it hidden, and it just got worse and worse and worse while he's basically talking about how people using drugs need to go to prison forever. You know, I mean, it's just, I just really want a better world, and persecution of people for doing what people do is, you know, and I'm not talking about rob and steal and stuff like that. I'm talking about that being from what I understand also, that when you legalize all drugs, it cuts out like 70% of crime, 80% of crime. So you end the black market, and then all these violent criminal gangs that have this river of money that flows into them off the black market, it no longer exists. All these big cartels that cause all this violence and all this crime in Mexico. You legalize all drugs, and what do they have then? You know, they're not going to make money off of robbing people. They're used to getting fucking pallets of money at a time, you know?
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that.
So this is what I'm saying, is you're going to eliminate so much more violence. You're worried about this thing where people are going to be junkies everywhere. I just can't imagine that being the reality.
I'm not necessarily worried about people being junkies everywhere. It's just that's what we're seeing right now. And I absolutely agree that we need to end the black market. Yeah. That would be a successful thing in our society.
Yeah.
And we would see repercussions for it. We don't have any data here to you know, back up that theory that it would, you know, turn out the way you would like it to be. And so I have nothing to go on.
I think we do. You understand there was an alcohol prohibition, right? And we ended that black market, and then, you know, now we have freedom, which is just...
Yeah, but we have millions of people in the United States that are killing themselves with alcohol. I've been doing that tonight, dude.
Alcohol is a terrible drug. I refer to it as the #1 date rape drug in the world. You know, it's a horrible, horrible drug. And I posted videos that say 10% of all deaths worldwide are alcohol related. So
well, you're not proving your point about it. I mean,
no, yeah. I am proving my point. We ended that black market, and instead of this fucking horrible police state, you know, people can die however they want. Okay, a million people. How many people?
You're proving my point.
No, people. Your point is people don't have the right to die. You know.
No, hold on a second. Okay, so your point is if we end the black market, then everything will solve itself. And my point is that ending the black market is fine, but we need proper treatment. And so there's millions of people that are dying of alcoholism because we don't have proper treatment. You've given me a perfect example. We have a case scenario where eliminating the black market does not cause a positive result in eliminating the chemical dependency on it. we need to have proper treatment for people's dependencies.
It does eliminate a great deal of the crime that goes along with it. Okay?
Well, I'll give you this to go on your point. Like fentanyl, right? Fentanyl is basically like when we had prohibition and they decided the federal government decided they were going to put chemicals in the booze that basically killed their own citizens, right? You know about that, right?
Yeah.
You know, they were trying to get rid of they're trying to get rid of all these people, you know, making booze, and so they started putting chemicals in it, and it made people freaking die.
Yeah, what a great government.
And so when you have a black market, you have unregulated drugs. And so there was people making booze that was killing people, and the government was you know, involved in it too. So that's a good point on your side.
Look, and the crime. Okay, I keep talking about reducing the crime because you end the black market. There was a great deal of crime that revolved around alcohol. Violence from the police, violence from the people that were, you know, trying to make money off of this through the black market. And it just got worse and worse and worse until they ended prohibition. So you're saying there's no empirical data, but there is. You know, we don't have that in our country, but we do. We saw that this ended a lot of crime, and it made it so that people don't have to hide their alcohol issues. They don't have to hide that. And people are misinformed. Okay, you're saying that the reason that all these deaths and all these negative things happen with alcohol is because that makes your point. But it doesn't, because right now the only drug that's really legal around the world is alcohol. So that's why what you're saying doesn't work. Because if there was other choices, then it wouldn't just be all these things, all these bad things that alcohol makes happen in the world. If people had the choice around the world to say, hey, I actually prefer cannabis, I bet you that would cut out an awful lot of those alcohol issues.
Yeah, but cannabis is a black market, and cannabis is not a destructive drug as much as other things, and so it is manageable. It's not as destructive. Yeah, there is cartels that do involve criminal activity that kill people and other crimes that are associated with it, but cannabis is not deadly for almost everyone. And so it's not as destructive of a chemical as a legalized chemical like alcohol.
And most people don't have access to it around the world, even through the black market. So if they had the option to, instead of pick just alcohol, because that's the only thing that's available to them, they had the option to say, hey, I actually prefer cannabis, so I'm going to go with that, then all these alcohol-related issues would be much, much less. And this is the problem. Instead of just resorting back to freedom, which is going to be a little messy, but it's way better than trying to control people. You know, trying to control people is just going to turn out badly every time. There's this...
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, there's this movie called End of the World. I can't remember, but it's basically there's these aliens that are taking over the world, and they're making it so that people are happy and healthy, and but they want you to do this and they want you to do that, and the guy who's like the main person in the movie, he's like, no, this is not what humans like. We don't like being told what to do. And I always felt like, yes, that's the whole point of being the top of the food chain, is I don't need you to tell me what to fucking do. It's my life, my body, my choice. You know, stop telling me what I can and can't do. You know, I'm not hurting anybody. You know, so that's where it all goes wrong, is these people who claim freedom and then do everything but actually fight for it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm a millennial, and growing up with the anti-drug campaigns, I mean, the perfect example is like everyone giving us. They were basically lying to us
Right.
about everything,
Right.
and they were trying to tell us what to do. And so, you know, I've gone to multiple funerals for people that I was close to that died from drug abuse.
Yeah.
And I think that it was partly to blame for the propaganda and the way they approached drug use. And it was like if you're lying to me about this, then you must be lying to me about that. And why not just try these things?
And they act like alcohol is a safe drug. So,
yeah.
You know, and any parents who don't tell their daughters by the age of 12 or 13 that alcohol is the #1 date rape drug in the world, and that every single day 1 million women get raped because they had one drink too many. One. If you don't tell your fucking daughters that, you don't understand the world at all. And I don't know, you shouldn't have children.
Well, it's been good. I'll let you get back to your show.
Hey, Rocky, I hope that you'll call back sometime soon.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I think there's some other stuff we can talk about that I probably adamantly disagree with you. And, you know, I've been respectful, so I hope that you can respect me if we have, like, a very visceral disagreement.
We'll see.
So what you're saying is you're not sure you will?
I'm not making any promises, fucker.
Well, that's fair.
All right.
At least you're being honest about it.
I am nothing if not honest. You can count on that.
All right, man. It's been a good conversation.
Yeah,
Appreciate
call
it.
back anytime, Rocky.
All right, bye.
Bye. And he was just saying how all my callers agree with me. And he's like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'm just right, Rocky. How about that? Yeah, that's true. Let's see. I gotta see if Craig has a caller. You have a caller? Okay. We got new caller. We got no callers. The people who live behind us are all in bed. And I am very loud when it comes to making television shows or whatever it is. I am unrestrained. So rather than make the neighbors uncomfortable, and it is 10 o'clock, although it's Friday night, and you know normally it wouldn't be a thing for me, but I don't want to mess with the neighbors. I don't really know them. It's like I know neighbors everywhere. And the people who live right behind me with the fucking 2 stories above us, right? And this, like, they can see everything that goes on in the backyard, look right into the house. I don't know them. I've said hi. You know, I don't know them. It's really weird for me because I know the neighbors live over there. I know the neighbors that live over there. I know I know so many of the neighbors all over the place. At least they say hi all the time and they pet the dogs and, you know, they're very friendly. As were these ones, I don't really know them. And they've been there for like 3 years now. It's so weird, right? Usually the neighbors that move in, we've had like 2 sets of neighbors that moved in back there. And, well, there was a couple others. But the last 2 before these people, I was like, hey, I just baked some brownies. You want some? Which... In my you know, my limited view, I think it's a wonderful way to make friends with the neighbors. Hey, I just baked some brownies. You want some? Fuck yeah, I'll be right over. Little welcoming package. I just took the neighbor across the street who just had a baby. I took him the tallest plant out of my garden. But when I put the seed into soil, I said, this one's for the neighbor. And then it turned out to be the tallest of all of them. I got to go look. I'm going to be jealous. I'm going to go over there and go, you got the best plant. which is nice. I'm very happy for them having a baby. They look really excited. I have to go tell them to get a dog. You need to get a dog now. You know why you need a dog when you have a baby? Because they can grow up like brothers. But other than that, the reason you really want to have a dog is because kids who have dogs when they're growing up have stronger immunity systems. So you should look that up if you're having a baby or thinking about having a baby. Or kids who have dogs, who grow up with dogs, have stronger immunity systems. It's easy to find out if that's true or not. Just Google it. Like everything else. I think I probably have an actual news story posted on Mox News about kids and dogs and immunity systems. So anyways, we don't have a caller? I guess we don't have a caller. So since we don't have a caller, I am going to go ahead and call it a night. Again, because we're outside and don't want to bother the neighbors too much. And I am unrestrained. You can't hold me down. So unless you're really cute. And then I'll be like, oh, let me up. Let me up. So where were we at? All right, I got to go. Thanks so much for tuning in. We do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, except for next
I got a beggar, but he's on my cell phone.
Is
This beggar wants to talk to you. Here, you got a beggar.
What? What?
It's after quiet hours. This guy right here. See,
What?
this guy. Oh, I don't want to put him really there.
What?
He's not going to talk now.
All right.
Okay, we're done.
Hey,
Good night.
We're trying to get patched through. We're having a bunch of difficulties over here. Fucking Michael, just hold on the show. We're fucking trying to get through.
When do you not
We're
have
gonna call you
difficulties?
back.
Okay, call back. That's a good plan.
Good night. Oh,
We're gonna call back, Michael.
Good.
you're the
do
fifth.
that.
You're the fifth caller, though.
Did you check the mail? I don't know anybody a dab or anything, right?
No dabs, no
Okay.
donations, no gift card giveaway.
No donations on Dabs for Donations Friday. How sad is that, Rocky? Okay, so I'll put some links in the chat before we get out of here. We do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Not this Monday when it's going to be 110 degrees. I'm not going to be able to manage that. No, I can't do it. But generally, every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back on Tuesday, same Mox time, same Mox channel, fingers crossed. And please remember, it's always better when you're here. I mean that with all my heart. So until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level, from a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber Do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. MoxNews.com.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united.